And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forever Cricket on Forever Sports. And it is match 20 of the SA20. Pretoria Capitals taking on MI Cape Town down in Cape Town. In fact, the last match at Newlands this tournament. And it's offered us some pretty fantastic cricket so far this tournament. I'm joined by Matt, and hopefully a bit later we might even see a Wild Ross. Who makes his first appearance back on the channel. It's been a while for him, actually. He keeps saying he's on leave, but I think he's basically just holidaying. But until then, we'll do the real work. Matt, wearing that shirt very proudly, I'm sure. How was the weekend?
Of course, it was an excellent weekend, Steve. I had a lovely time. How about you?
No. Well, you know what? I played cricket yesterday. We played with 10. We won a very dramatic match, so I'll take it. The Lions Rugby won. JSK even won. Small victories.
But not so much Manchester United.
Nah, you know what? 2 out of 3 ain't bad, eh? 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
No, look, I mean, you're just going to take it where you can get it, don't you? Makes total sense. But yes, no, it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend for football, if that's your thing. Otherwise, it's been a good weekend of cricket, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a great weekend of cricket as the competition still continues to be quite close. I mean, you saw Sunrise's Eastern Cape really kicking into gear. They're 4 wins out of 7, sitting on second place. Pretoria Capitals, though, very much the team to beat. They sit on top of the log, 18 points. MI Cape Town sitting on 13 points. Power Royals at 13, Jones Super Kings 12, Durban Super Giants, very much the odd ones out, down 8 points after 6 games, just 2 wins for them. So, yeah, I mean, you think that there's 2 games, there's 2 match days left before the ODI series break. Which is going to be quite sort of interesting. So, I mean, important matches now because these are the last time these teams will be playing. We've got literally this match this evening, 2 matches tomorrow, and then we go into that break. So, very interesting to sort of see where everybody stands moving into the break. And yeah, I mean, look, I suppose if Pretoria Capitals were to win this, it's hard not to look past them to really go all the way at the moment.
Yeah, look, they have certainly been. I mean, I know they lost their last match, but they have been certainly the form side of the tournament so far. As you say, 18 points. And, 4 wins, 2 losses, the most recent one, obviously, and then losing what I think it was their third game of the tournament. But they have looked excellent. I think today's going to be a big challenge for them, though, because we know that batting lineup and that bowling lineup, in fact, from MI Cape Town really is something special. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do today. But as we say that, the match is officially underway.
Yep, MI Cape Town winning the toss and electing to field first. So we have George Linder opening the bowler. And he's been in pretty good nick this tournament, both with ball and with bat. And the Pretoria Capitals got Kusal Mendes, who's joined the side, and I think he's an important part of the campaign moving forward. And he's next to Will Jacks, who's been in terrific form. So should be an interesting contest early up. And George Linder does go to Kusal Mendes first up, who just sort of plods it to short square leg. And yeah, Kusal Mendes, how impressed were you with him this weekend? Coming in and, I mean, Bjorn Fontaine, who's taken apart many a batsman so far this tournament, looked like a completely different type of player, really sort of showing that subcontinent experience.
No, absolutely. I mean, Kusal Mendes, there's no doubting. You can say what you want. He's a phenomenal.
Oh, he's out! Oh no, the drops! Almost as
My
we were saying that he's had a flash that's gone straight to Rashid Khan, who's dropped it.
Rashid Khan looks as shocked as anyone.
Wow, I'm not surprised.
Wasn't expecting that from a player of his standard. I mean, he just kind of didn't get hold of it. They just hit it.
Oh, straight in, straight out. Juggle, down, juggle. Oh my living. It's a good thing he's the captain. Otherwise, you could probably be having strong words. That's dreadful, actually. The more you look.
That really is appalling. Yeah, that really is appalling. Well, let's see. Just works that one way around the leg side.
Well, now that he's got an all strike, we can continue talking about how amazing he is.
Yes. No, look, there's no doubting that that Kusal Mendes is a wonderful player. He really has been. He's been such a good servant for Sri Lanka over the years that he's been there. I mean, he's got 54 tests to his name. He's got nearly 100 ODIs to his name, as well as 52 T20 internationals to his name. So I mean, you can't say he's not an experienced campaigner.
No.
In all of those, he goes along at just over 130 in T20s. He has been important for them. Obviously, an outstanding wicketkeeper as well. I think it's going to be interesting to see just what he can do here. Obviously, being an international, he's not used to playing on South African soil. So it'll be interesting to see just how he goes here. But let's catch Will Jacks.
And then the go to Will Jacks, pitching a pretty full and kind of outside leg stump, and Will Jacks happy to just put it onto the sort of a deep extra cover there and scamper through for the single. And important, I suppose, George Linder is, whenever you sort of see a spinner up front, very much looking to try and create that early wicket. And we saw the early chance in the over, so a bit of a mischance there for my Cape Town. You don't want to give either of these two batsmen a chance. But Will Jacks, one of the form batsmen of the tournament, how important do you think he's become to the Pretoria Capitals? Probably a bit more important than they initially even thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's been obviously his last match not going so well, going out for 4 again from 14. But as we see, by the way, the first boundary of the match, that one just steered away by Kusal Mendes down to the vacant third man region. Just a gentle. It was actually a bit of a thick outside edge.
I don't think it was as planned as you probably would have liked to have.
No.
There's no slip in place, and short 45 is it's almost like a gully really. That's up there.
Yeah, it was a bit of an outside edge, but look, he'll take it. Doesn't matter how they come. Look, Will Jacks has been absolutely phenomenal. I think you and I have commentated on a good few matches where we've seen him really be the star of the show. And it's interesting though to see, because you look at it and you go, this is a side with a good few big hitters. We don't tend to say we know what Riley Rousseau can do, of course. Shane Dadswell is certainly no mud with the bat. Jimmy Neesham, while he might be an all-rounder, really is he's a damn good batter as well. Ethan Bosch even is capable, and obviously as we saw in one of the earlier matches, Wayne Parnell. So you wouldn't have gone, well, it's Will Jacks or nothing. There is quite a deep batting kind of lineup to the Pretoria Capitals. But yeah, no, he's been phenomenal. It's been impressive to see. Now I'm interested to see what he does for if he's part of the whole England setup as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think today for me, obviously they'll be hoping that this top order 5 saw Tinas de Bruin really come to the fore yesterday. But I'm just waiting. I think we're all waiting to see that Riley Rousseau innings that we just haven't seen so far. But 7 off the first over, and Kakisa Rabada will come trundling in, and he goes to Kusal Mendes. Has he had a haircut?
Yeah, he has. Looking sharp.
Not that there's ever much hair to cut. But,
no. He's never run down with an afro, but
No.
There we are. 131 kilometers an hour, so just a bit of a loosener, which Kusal Mendes just obviously just gently taps away for a single. Jacks onto strike. It's going to be an interesting matchup, I think. Rabada, maybe he's feeling a bit less pressure. What with having Jofra Archer in the side alongside him.
Yeah, and I think hopefully he's really treating this tournament as a way to sort of really start enjoying his cricket a bit again. He's not. Yes, as you say, he is one of the probably and one of their premier bowlers. But having Jofra Archer, into the side means that he's not. It's like sometimes the protest. Oh, it's down leg. It's going to nick. No, nothing there.
Doesn't look like it.
Unless this is coming off a sun, it will be a wide as the call. I think the important thing for him is just to start trying to enjoy it, and I think not to say don't take the tournament seriously, but hopefully just really try and go back to enjoying cricket. I think there were some worrying comments about him about how it's difficult to keep enjoying, keep fresh and stuff like that when you're playing so much cricket.
That was a bit of a silent warning. I think you're right. A little bit of a quiet warning to Cricket South Africa and the likes to say, guys.
Oh,
hang on. Well, that's gone
straight up. Is there a man on the deep there? There is. Oh no! It's spilled again. And it's Rassie van der Dussen. Look, the ball did come down with ice on it, but you've got to be catching that. And it's gone miles in the air, and that's the second drop catch in the second over. My Cape Town giving a chance to Kusal Mendes, giving a chance to Will Jacks. Both Rabada and George Linder should have wickets, and
so should KG Rabada. That's just a leading edge there. Sent that thing to the moon.
How does he has about 45 goes at this. How does it not stay?
It almost rolls gently down his legs to get there. It's unreal.
And then I think outside edge and will run away for 4 as well. That must be so frustrating for everybody. He's gone for now 8 in the over.
Look, it's very strange. It's unlike Rassie van der Dussen to drop a catch like that. Yes, fine, it was high, but you have to say that's a sitter.
Yeah, pretty unlike Rashid Khan as well to drop a catch like that. So not the start the Pretoria. The amount Cape Town would have liked. Pretoria Capital as well. You never want to give players like this a chance. Be interested to see if either of them take it as the ball comes into his 4th delivery, gets it to drag back a little bit, hits it one outside down legs. So no shouts for Abu Dhabi or anything like that. And we look at this catch once again. He goes straight into his hands. and then straight out. So I mean,
He fumbles it. He pushes it onto his stomach. Then it sort of rolls down in his arms, then rolls down his legs. Graham Smith's looking on, absolutely bemused.
That's a bit worrying. They're seeing that the SA commissioner sitting with the MI Cape Town, what looks like the MI Cape Town owners. Well, I reckon, and that's gone all the way. By the way, so first maximum of the game, and
Jacks.
Roberto will be seething. Seething, I think, is the only word.
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, and he is. He's one of those passionate bowlers. I mean, we all know how good KG is, and we all know how seriously he takes his bowling. So to miss something like that, and then you get panned for a 4 and a 6 right afterwards. I mean, I'm actually surprised in a way we haven't seen him take it out on Will Jackson come in with a short ball.
Yeah, well, I think it wouldn't be surprised me if it's coming up because I don't think he'll take too kindly. So 1 ball left in the over. He has to take a pot for 14. The Wales going to drop catch though, so let's see what the response is in the final ball. And a bit of a length ball, but punched well.
There's a punch to kind of cover. They'll run through for 2. Definitely stopping the boundary though. So that expensive over 16 for KG Rabada there, meaning they end the second over 23 for the loss of 2 of the Pretoria Capitals. Kusal Mendes is there still. He's not out on 7 off 6. Also having faced 6 balls is Will Jacks. He's undefeated on 15 off 6, getting along nicely. And we've seen in this tournament, you don't want him to get along nicely and get himself in.
No, and let's just see what the decision will be here. Whether we'll see George Linder continue, or whether
you?
I reckon I think it does look like he is going to continue. I think you also going to see I would like to see Joffrey Archer in the power play as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think of a strike bowler like Joffrey Archer, but clearly they think there's some turn on offer. Clearly they're looking for some movement there. There is something in the pitch.
Well, I think George Linder's already created a chance, and so I reckon we'll see probably Linder about and then potentially Archer and somebody else to finish. And Kusal Mendes goes over the top from Linder. It's going to go all the way. It should be a 1 bounce 4, almost clearing the boundary. Very controlled shot, I think, but probably the best shot we've actually seen so far. And this is just perfectly.
Yeah, he just kind of went inside out, didn't he? And just
that's actually beautifully played. Nice little cover, locked and cover drive, 1 bounce 4, and almost went all the way actually.
Held the pose a bit.
Yeah, and doesn't even move. Goes and says, "How's it to Will Jacks to see how he's doing?" And Linder under pressure immediately. As he goes to his second. This time he goes across the stumps and looks to try and sweep it. Goes straight to...
There is a kind of a wide, short, wide, fine leg kind of a position. But I mean, look, he's clearly looking to take on the spinner early on. Going to be interesting to see just, I suppose, how the rest of this over pans out. You've already hit the guy for 4 on the first ball. Pressure's now all on Linder.
And once again, this time he gets a Dutch fine, and I think this will go all the way as well. And I've got to say, a bit of poor bowling there from George Linder. I mean, he's just tried to go for the sweep and missed out. And he's fired it down the leg side once again. Because I mean, he's not going to miss out twice. Yeah,
exactly, yeah. Is that pressure that's made him bowl like that? Or is that just maybe he's still kind of getting into it?
I think it's, I'm not quite sure what the decision is. I mean, it's well down the leg. I mean, it's about 3-4 stumps down the leg side, and I think the frustration there, I think he knows he's just completely missed his line there. He needs to bring it back now. He's gone for 8 in the first 3, and this time he's got an aerial. It's over square leg. It looks like it's going miles. It does look like
it's gone all the way.
Yeah, 6 runs there.
Umpire's not entirely certain, but you win some, you lose some, mate. Don't worry, we have technology. It does look like a pretty comfortable 6 in the end, which means 21 is what he's gone for so far after 1.4 overs, and look, the vast majority of that has been this over in particular. I mean, we've seen 2 4s and a 6 so far this over. It's been a bit brutal, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, Kusal Mendes raced 21 of 10. So no surprise to see the Sri Lankan batsman going after the spinner on what is a relatively flat deck by Sri Lanka standards. And Linder goes, and this time he's happy to just sort of try and punch it out to cover, trying to get through the gap, but just the dot ball there. Which is not much of an issue.
Look, you'll take the dot ball, I suppose, but when you've already clubbed the guy for 8-14 this over, you don't really mind the occasional dot ball.
No, I think
it's interesting, as you say. I mean, would you back this idea of now we open with a spin bowler and we give him a second over?
Well, I think what we've seen, and this time he goes to the top and does find that gap, so it all race away for 4. And expensive over keeps getting expensive. Linder's gone for 25 in the first 2. I think the biggest thing obviously is that we've seen that left arm spin, especially in the power play, has done the trick across the tournament. You know, Bjorn Fontaine has been untouchable. George Linda's done some really good work. Aaron Pangiso has been also virtually unplayable. So it's
Yeah, I mean,
definitely
I'm
been
having a
that
look there.
trend.
There was a little bit of turn on off there in that last delivery. So I mean, at least he is generating something. It's not just like bowling in Karachi, you know, where absolutely nothing happens no matter who you are. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's an interesting one. Just because other teams have done it, I mean, look, maybe it's just me, but I don't see George Linda that much as a a hardcore strike bowler. And granted, I know he's had this chance, but he doesn't strike me as like a Tabraiz Shamsi.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is that he usually has that control in the power play and try and sort of and probably just sort of bowling into the bats and trying to sort of slide it in there. If there is any sort of turn off, basically create that sort of chance that we actually can't put down. So I suppose it's difficult to be critical when he did have a drop. But yeah, and things not going
Let's
so
see.
far for and this is interesting. I said Avi de Villiers said that he reckons it's a much better deck than what we've seen. So he says 180. He reckons is should be well could is more where par should be. As Jofra Archer does come into the attack, Rabada just the one over. Jofra Archer steaming in to Will Jacks with a 15 of 6. Will Jacks puts it just sort of nudges it down. And happy for the dot ball there. But this is a big moment. Jofra Archer comes in. They're 41 for none after 3.1. So if they keep going at this, they could be looking at about 80 for the power play.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, yeah, big time. Big time. It's maybe, I mean, I don't want to say that's why we've seen Jofra Archer come in, because let's be honest, I mean, he's always going to be a frontline bowler. But there's, the poor guy's bowled one dot ball and the pressure's already on him, because at 41 without loss after 3.1 overs, Kusal Mendes is going along 25 off 12 now, and he has been the aggressor, which is interesting because, I mean, Will Jacks has normally been the aggressor. But let's have a look here. Not trying to pan him away there, just pushed out to kind of mid-wicket. 141 k's an hour Jofra, which, if we compare it to, say, KG Rabada, who's been it's probably about 6 or 7 kilometers an hour faster. Do you think KG's losing a yard?
I don't think so. I think he can still push it up when he wants to. I think also in this Cape Town pitch, it's been interesting to see it hasn't been as fast as we would sort of usually expect it. And I think sometimes it's been a case of getting it into the ground, trying to let the pitch do the work. Been very interested to see how I don't know if Nokia goes about it, because he is, I mean, as Mark Nicholas he's saying, probably the fastest bowler in world cricket right now.
I can't think of anyone else who hands down beats him.
Not with the consistency he continues to put them down at either.
As well, yeah. It's one thing you crank it up once or twice and over, or once in a spell. But yeah, no, I mean, I know Nokia just hitting that thing down. And we've got a bit of a break in play here. 3.2 overs gone, 41 without loss, and it looks like they're having a discussion with the cameraman.
Yeah, I mean, you never sort of understand this. The cameraman's been there for the entire tournament, I'd imagine. I don't think they've moved too much. So I'm not entirely sure. Now sort of, and now they seem to be referencing his orange shirt, which again, not sure how that would be much of an issue. But that is what is causing the break in play. In the meantime, Jofra Archer 2 dot balls. How big for the tournament has been to have a Jofra Archer?
Look, I mean, we know Jofra Archer has a body made of leaves, so the world hasn't had as much opportunity to see Jofra Archer as much as we perhaps should have. Which means there's still that special factor with him. Whenever you get to see him, it's great. So the fact that he's here, comes to South Africa, playing, and, well, as we see there, a shorter ball just kind of pushed away to point for a dot ball, 143 k's an hour. He's a world-class bowler, there's no doubting it. Maybe he'll be seeing it as a bit of a, let's get used to the South African decks a bit while, get himself settled with the upcoming international series. But I think it's hugely important from an audience perspective. People want to see Jofra Archer, don't they? He's one of those guys that really, if you'd said to me beforehand, who do you want to watch, Will Jacks or Jofra Archer? I mean, it's pretty clear who the answer is going to be. As we see Jacks nearly finding out.
Mr. Run up there as well. And that's then ball for Ernie Smith. It was a nice stop on Ryan Ripperton. A good throw as well. Ryan was almost on. Ernie Smith is now not backed up particularly well. No, 100%. And I think and from an England point of view, who are in the country with the ODI series that happens later this week, perfect opportunity for him to get some cricket under his belt. on the sort of on South Africa pitches and South African conditions where they will be playing. Look, I mean, things are going to be a bit different. They're playing in Bloem and Kimberley, I think, are the 3 ODIs. But it's been the perfect situation for him to really sort of get to grips with his game again, get some game time out of his balsam overs in South Africa. So I think it's been a pretty good for parties. Will Jackson's gone over the top though, and that's what you can do with the pace of Dr. Archer. I think it will be a 1 bounce forward. I don't think he's managed to get us all of it. I think he came off sort of the bottom part of the bat, so a bit out of the toe there.
But as you say, it's that pace, you know what I mean? When you've got a guy paddling it down at that rate, you just need to kind of, if you flash at it and you flash hard, you know, assuming there's no fielder there, the odds are you're gonna get a pretty safe boundary.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, the power play, you know, only 2 fielders out, and imagine one will be out at the final with third man. So plenty of gaps out there. I think this has been really good from Pretoria Capitals in terms of attacking the power play. They've been happy to go aerial. They're looking for the gaps. They're trying to really take advantage of the power play. And once again, he goes straight. This looks like it's going to hit much better. This is going to go miles.
My goodness.
Well, for all that we talk about how Dr. Archer is, Will Jacks has just disrespected his fellow countrymen, and he's just gone straight over the top, being up the 211th maximum in the SA20 as Pretoria Capitals, after just 4 overs, go to 53 for 9. This could be a very big power play.
Yeah, no, this to me, I mean, put it this way, I think if these guys carry on for another couple of overs, we're looking at well over 200 here from this total. It looks like, you know, Jax looks like he's seeing it really well. So does Kusal Mendes, to be fair. You know, finally, he managed to take George Linda apart a fair amount. So obviously, you know, being a Sri Lankan, he's probably more, like a lot more used to that, to the spin, or to at least to a spinning deck. But I mean, still 25 off 12 for Kusal Mendes, 27 off 12 for Will Jacks. So you have to say it's not like there's just one who's going.
No, they're both going. I mean, they're both seeing the exact same amount of balls, and they're both seeing a similar score, but both striking well over 200. And Sam Curran, the most expensive player in IPL history, has been asked to try and break this partnership as we go into the 5th over of the power play. And yeah, I mean, you get 80-90 in the power play, and you're setting yourself really up. And first one, a bit of a slow ball there. Kusal Mendes missing out.
Sam Curran coming to the crease.
Yeah, and Sam Curran, as I said, you know, the bit of a renaissance for him in the last sort of year. That phenomenal T20 campaign, and as I was saying earlier, you know, becoming the most expensive IPL player ever. I mean, it's been quite a year for him.
I find that a bit of a strange one, to be honest with you.
Well, if you told me a year ago, I would have been very surprised about that.
He doesn't strike me as somebody who is warranting of that superstar status. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, irrespective of what the tournament is, it could be IPL, it could be anything. But I mean, at the top of world cricket at the moment, you've got like a Ben Stokes. And you can go find, he's kind of warranted, like I say, irrespective of the tournament, but he warrants a record fee, irrespective, of what it is. Sam Curran?
Well, it's literally purely based on that that T20 World Cup where he was just brilliant with bat, brilliant with ball, unplayable. And I think IPL auctions, it all comes down to performing at the right time. As I said, I think, you've got lots of people who, I mean, you think of Chris Morris, who had that really good World Cup, for example, had a really good IPL, and all of a sudden he picked up one of the biggest IPL contracts we've seen. And again, you sit there going, Chris Morris was always a phenomenal player, but was never, for me, never sort of top 5-6 players out there. But he got that contract. So IPL contracts are interesting because it's not always necessarily the names that you expect to go for that mega money that always do. So
I suppose form is a lot in 2020 cricket, as we see him coming down for his 4th ball.
Yeah, back of the length,
short and wide,
over cover. Pretty poor delivery there in the end from Sam Curran. Will Jacks was looking for a bit of release there, and he's giving himself some width, and he's happy to throw his hands through there. Will Jacks moves to 31 or 14, and he's
trouble.
I mean, and there you go. That I think is the indication of the pitch as well, because he's played that almost in the front foot. He's just rocked back, short wide. He's played straight over the extra cover.
And I mean, didn't look like there was much risk there. I mean, it wasn't the best ball from Sam Curran, must be said. I mean, it was just a bit short, a bit wide. It was a bit of a nothing ball asking to be hit. As we see a full toss.
And he's gone through as well. It's a poor follow-up, and he cuts a bit of an outside edge, squirts through past point. He goes for a 4. So back-to-back boundaries for Pretoria Capitals. Just when it looks like they were slowing down. A dot and a 1 dot, but very much managed to find the boundary twice now, moving to 9 off the over.
Yeah, I mean, 9 off over is a bit, it's a bit heavy considering this has felt like not a bad over. at the end of it. It's they're not going on at quite a whack here. I mean, it's if you look at it, they're kind of the majority of votes are kind of putting them currently at 190 as their expected target. As we see,
oh, that is the best of the lot, and he's just picked him up early and almost. I mean, it's almost a half shot. It's flown over mid-off, and it's gone all the way as well. And Sam Curran's gone for 15 off that over. Pretoria Capital 68 for none after 5. Will Jacks doing Will Jacks thing so far.
Now there's trouble here. I tell you, there's trouble here. I mean, it always seems to me like when Will Jacks does well, you simply just his team does well. You know what I mean? He does seem to be he's one of those match-winning kind of guys. And as you say, surprisingly, because we were expecting him to be the lean-on guy, but if he does well, it always does seem that the Pretoria Capitals are in with a shout. As we see, let's see who's coming up now. It's been 5 overs gone, so a quarter of the innings, last over of the power play. Let's see who is coming into bowl.
And this is one of those moments where as a bowler, the captain throws you the ball and I throw it back at him and say no.
Yeah, actually, sorry, I'm not interested. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't work like that. You don't get to. Well, it's a baller, and he's caught it in early in Mendes. I mean, it's a single. It's just boring, really, in the grand scheme of things, but it does bring Will Jacks into strike. He's on 41 off 16, and given the start, they'll be looking at above 80 from the power play. And you get above 80 from the power play, I mean, you should be sitting at about 110 odd. 100.
Well, I mean, their current run rate's 13.35.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking good.
For God's sake, that's huge.
You get to 82, 83 in the power play. You're getting yourself to 110, 120 after 12 overs. You've got wickets in hand, 200. 220 plus really needs to be on.
Yeah.
He's got short. He's got short. There could be a man out there, but got straight over the top. Rusty Van Dusen almost looks like it was a hand on it. It was very flat there from Will Jacks. I think he wants to go a bit higher, but using the pace for a bowler. Yeah, I think he just rolls his hands over the ball, bangs it in short. Yeah, I did wonder. Got a hand to it, did Rusty Van Dusen. So it's actually going to go down as a drop.
I mean, look, Rusty, as you see Rusty van der Dusen, they're falling over backwards. So it does look like, it probably would have gone for 6 had he caught it. But as you say, it has to go down as another drop.
Well, I think.
Oof, what a response!
I don't think he would have caught it. We're interested to see if he might have been able to sort of just keep it in almost.
Well, yeah, Rusty's looking up there at the sun, frustrated with himself, understandably. Would he have? I don't know. I feel like that would have gone for 6 either way.
No, I think he was well set enough. He could have just probably caught and brought it back. Now he's gone over the top. Missed it over the top there. Looked, it was a bit of a
interesting stat coming up there. Oh, that's been called a wide, by the way. So even despite that, already with still 3 balls to come, before that wide, this was the highest power play in SA20 so far.
Yeah, that surprised me at all. It's been really, really good. I mean, Jacks is a boundary away from a 19 ball 50. Christian Mendes sitting on 27 or 15. He's been brilliant. Goes short, and Will Jacks. I don't think so. All of that. No, but he's got enough.
That's enough. Yeah.
I mean, that's just it's a bit of agriculture. It's a flat back 6. He goes to 50 within the power play. 53 of 19. That run rate now looking almost 15. 82 with still 2 balls left in the power play. This is carnage so far for the Pretoria Capitals. Considering MLK put them into bat, I think Rashid Khan will be a little bit nervous about the decision he made at the toss.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because does it feel to you like it's been a particularly sort of savage hitting power play? I mean, I know it reads 82 so far, but it kind of feels like they haven't played many risky shots.
Well, I think they've used the power play to the advantage. I think they've just said that we know that we've got. He goes over the top. I don't think it'll be all the way, so it'll probably be 2 out there into the deep. But the aggression looks to continue from Will Jacks. I think they're having pretty aggressive. To be fair, I think they've looked. I mean, they played a couple of cricket shots. We haven't seen anything too inventive, but I think the biggest thing is I think this pitch looks a belter. They've really trusted. They played through the line. Anything backable length, they've looked to really go over the top and go for it hard. And this has been an exhibition of opening the batting in T20 from Will Jacks so far.
Yeah, as we said, I mean, we can't keep saying it, but, really one of the stars so far of this tournament, as we see Rabada coming in for the last ball of the power play. Clever response. He fields it himself with his foot. Bit of a Yorker there, 141 kilometers an hour. So a dot ball, which is a rare thing if you sort of bat at the moment. Still 16 runs off the over. So that's the end of that power play.
Yeah, I'm
84
surprised.
without loss.
Surprise. They're going to get a strategy break, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is them. My capes on calling it just to say, right, let's actually try and break this rhythm a bit because these two, I mean, 84 power play, it's incredible. No lost a wicket as well, so you still got 10 wickets in hand. I mean, these two go for another 2-3 overs, and 220, 230 could very well be on the cards. And if they've got a strategy break, we'll go to a break ourselves. We'll be back in a few minutes to take you through the rest of the match. And on the back of that, that power play, should be really interesting to see what comes next. So don't go away. Do smash like the video. Do subscribe if you are new. And we'll see you in just a bit. Welcome back to what has been a pretty destructive start to proceedings down in the Cape Town for Pretoria Capitals, who are 88 for none after 6.5 overs, 82 off the power play, and that's gone big. It's gone big. It's gone big.
Ooh, it has gone big.
There it is!
Oh wow!
What a moment, Ryan Rickleton.
Oh wow!
Ryan
Look
Rickleton.
at that moment.
Well, Kusal Mendes has gone. It's Adil Rashid. It's Rashid Khan who's decided to bring himself in after that barbaric display of power hit. He's got the breakthrough. I think it is actually. It is Kusal Mendes, and this is a superb piece of fielding from Ryan Rickleton. He catches it as it's about to go to the boundary, tosses it back, and this is T20 fielding at its best.
Yeah, catch it. Throw it to your mate. Wow, that is teamwork. Teamwork catching in the deep.
And I tell you
absolutely
what,
outstanding.
That whole decision, and he's hanging around Kusal Mendes. I think they want to have a look at the foot of Ryan Rickleton to make sure it doesn't touch the boundary. He doesn't look very happy with himself as Kusal Mendes. I think Ryan Rickleton's done brilliantly here.
No, I agree with you. It does look. It looks to me like he's pretty safe there.
Yeah, we just have to see. We're going to see the other angle from the back. I think that's what they're sort of waiting to see here. And from this angle, I don't think we're going to see much. He goes up, takes the catch. It's that left. It's this foot here now.
No, that foot's way away. Oh, right, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the boundary move. You're going to have to see it from the other angle. That's the only angle I don't think there's enough evidence there to say that he's touching it.
No, I mean, I'm not seeing any movement there.
This is the
seeing a bit of a shadow, maybe, but that doesn't look like it's moving at all to me. That doesn't look to have budged.
No, I think
it's very close.
I think he's right. I think he's done brilliantly here.
You know what? It's a bloody good catch, so I feel like he deserves it just on that alone.
Yeah, and you know, you've watched him run around, and I think CSA is the most CSA things in terms of being in the mud. When you look at this is the man who was left out of Australia because of the ankle injury. He's flung himself around. He's been brilliant I mean, it's just a joke, really. And I think this could be one of the moments of the SA20. We are still shaking it. I personally would allow us. I don't think there's enough in it to warrant
to warrant overturning the decision. No chance.
I think it looks alright. Yep, out of the call. That is unbelievable from Ryan Rickleton. I imagine what he's going to do when that ankle has healed.
Imagine. I mean, he's going to be doing he's going to be catching it with his feet at that point. I mean, really, it's going to be amazing one day when he gets better. Of course, we know it's a very severe injury. We know that he's struggling to cling on to life at times. But fortunately, he's been brave. He's soldiered on, and we've seen Ryan Rickleton pull through this very tough time that has included Cricket South Africa being idiots. Anyway, hugely important in the context of the match, not so, as we see Riley Rousseau come to the crease. Odin Smith set to bowl his first over. That breakthrough, could have come at an earlier time, but they desperately needed that.
Yeah, they did. It does bring Riley Rousseau to the crease. And they've sent him, in theory, it was supposed to be Tinnus Bremtish coming in at 3, but they have gone with Riley Rousseau. I think Riley Rousseau has having a couple of words about the wicket itself, but a big breakthrough that. But Kusal Mendes, job done. I mean, looked good. Would have liked to have kicked on. And I mean, you look at these numbers from Riley Rousseau, and they're seriously good numbers. I mean, a strike rate of 142. He's got 5 T20 50s, plenty of hundreds, plenty of 50s. Good numbers, but this tournament has looked really poor. And they always say that form is temporary and class is permanent. He is a world-class batsman, and you've got to feel that big scores around the corner. And this would be a very big day for him at Cape Town if it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we look there. He kind of tries to pull that one out, and he kind of gets it out to the what do you want to call it, like a deep mid-wicket sort of a region. He hasn't looked at his best. You're absolutely right. He really has looked. He's looked a good yard or so off the pace so far this tournament. But look, I know you rate him really highly, and I think a lot of that is justified. There's no doubt he's an outstanding player. I mean, I think if he gets this right, that will put for me the Pretoria Capitals head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, no, literally. I mean, I think that those two. This is perfectly set up for Riley Rousseau. I mean, you've got Will Jacks who's striking unbelievably. He's got license. He's got time. He's not, and he literally because he can't. The problem is he's been guilty of not always playing the situation and sort of trying to go too hard too quickly. But
Mm.
whilst he's got time to get himself in, I think the pitch is playing so well. I think it's a good dig. I think he can come out. And if he wants to play shots early up, why not? At the end of the day, you've got the momentum and ride it for as long as you can. I don't think Will Jackson's slowing down. He's striking at exactly 250 out of 24. And I think riding the service just plays natural game.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, as you said, it's a case of you're not 5 wickets down.
No.
You don't have 2 overs left in the innings or anything. It's as you said, it's a great track. I think if there was a moment for Riley Rosso to play himself in this tournament, it's today. But he doesn't need to play himself in. He can play himself in his own way. Let's put it that way. Because I mean, we know Riley Rosso tends to be able to deal in boundaries, no problem. So if that's the way he feels like he needs to go, then I believe that's the way he should go. As we see Odin Smith coming in for another one. That one's short.
And that'll be a
It's
boundary.
There we go. And that was a good cricket shot. That was a lovely cut through the point region. Devil Brevis unable to get hold of it there. And I mean, look, I suppose that's just a sign of what Riley Rosso can do.
Well, I think it's Will Jackson's strike, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it Will Jackson?
Yeah,
sorry, I'm
not
mistaken.
I look, Riley Rosso can do it, but
yeah, no, sure, absolutely, yeah.
And good for Will Jackson to keep finding that boundary, because I said, I mean, run rate is currently sitting at 12.26, so the projected score is 240. Odie Smith has started well, but finding that boundary. Oh, he's found the outside edge. I think he has found the outside edge. There's the breakthrough. Odie Smith has come in, and that's a huge moment. Will Jacks can't believe it, but what an innings. It was 62 of 27. That does come to an end. And then that's 2 wickets in the last 10 balls. Big moment here for MRK to claw themselves back into the match. This is a good delivery.
It's a great delivery. Yeah, he banged it in hard. A bit of a strange kind of a shot there. I mean, we've seen him. He could have played that one on the up, and he could have gone at it hard, but he sort of.
He kind of played it. I think it's the first non-shot or false shot I think he's really played where he hasn't played with a bit of conviction. I think there is a bit of seam to it. I think it does. I think if we were to look in the front one, I think there is a bit of seam. I think it does dip outside a little bit, and Will Jacks kind of gets it's a bit of an awkward length, I think, for him. And I think he got caught in 2 minds, and Bench sort of feathered it, grabs it. It turns the brain though, man in form, and does walk up to the crease, but all of a sudden, 94 for 2, and I mean, Pretoria Capital's flying, run rate still at 12, but importantly, 2 new batsmen, and this is a big opportunity now for my Cape Town to try and knuckle these people down, bring that run rate down, try apply a bit of pressure. You get a couple more wickets here, and you can really start clawing yourself back into the game.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think to a certain degree, some of that boat has already left the port. So far as it's 94 for 2. It's not 34 for 2 like it probably should have been with a couple of drop catches. They already are well ahead of what you'd expect them to be on the Pretoria Capital. So if I'm Pretoria right now, I go, you know what? Don't panic. Just play it easy. We can, if we need to, we tennis the brain. And Riley Rosso can use a couple of overs if they need to. They can take this to to 10, 11 overs, going along with 5 and over if they want to, just to get themselves in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you go 4, 5 and over, even if you go 6 and over for the next 4 overs, for example, that'll take you to what 120 odd after 12, which is perfectly set up. So you don't have to necessarily again. I mean, I think if these two look for that 1 boundary and over, and find a couple of singles around them, go 6, 7 and over, and just sort of consolidate a little bit after those 2 wickets for 2, 3 overs. I think they've got every right to do that, and the situation could allow for that as well. The important thing is get to that 12 overs, have wickets in hand, and then start to be aggressive. You 8 wickets in hand with 12 overs to go. You still got the light. You see, I think. Shane Jazz will not come off at all during this tournament. Clyde Patain comes in today for his debut. In fact, interesting to see how he goes. But I look at that. It's a good batting lineup. But I think the middle order issues are a problem, and I think we'll see Ethan Bosch probably coming in a bit early there. But Jimmy Neeshan's a big player to come. But these two will be expected to try and put on another sort of 50, 60 runs, I reckon.
Look, if they put on 50, 60 runs, you have to say, come the end of the innings, the ball's very much in Pretoria's favour. Runs on the board are everything, and 8 overs, 94. As we see Rashid come back, he goes for a bit of a half-hearted appeal there, as he sends one down to Riley Rosso, who just sort of pushes it away for a dot ball. Would you keep Rashid in now, knowing that you got 2 new guys at the crease?
Yeah, 100%. Strike bowler, and I think you'll probably bowl four in the chart almost now. This is really, and Riley was so, I'm not sure that's an edge.
Don't
We're
know what
missing
that was.
out
Yeah.
there, but I think this is the period now for actually can't keep going. I think he'll probably bowl himself four in the trot. You're bowling two new batsmen. Riley Rousseau, who's devoid of a bit of confidence. Somebody who likes pace on the ball. You've now got the best spinner in the world and really attacking him. I think this is where Rashid Khan will really be looking to try and get stuck in here. But it's pretty well played by Riley Rousseau. Just trying to sort of bring out that paddle a little bit, straight to the fielder, so won't get off strike. 3-dot balls here. This is good work from Rashid Khan. He went for just four in the first over. He's gone for none this over. In terms of the context of the game, these are two brilliant overs.
No, they really are. They really are. No, I agree fully with you. Rather bowl him out now. I think when they're in, it's a different story. But look at
He's
that.
gone back and he's gone out. He's gone out. You don't
go.
go back to Rashid Khan. He's gone. He's done the Cardinal sin. The Cardinal sin. He's gone back to Rashid Khan. I think he wants to go up. I don't think he's going to have any chance. I think he's gone back. I think it's hit him by the knee roll, and he's not even going to review it. I think he knows he's gone. And the Riley Rousseau demise, unfortunately, continues. Just can't buy her at the moment. 105, and this is why Rashid Khan is the best in the world.
But also, that's that's the I don't even want to say a shot. The attempted shot. I mean, that is plumb. That is absolutely plumb. He's trying to go back. It's hit him on the back pad, squarely crashing into middle and off stump. It's that's a bit of a combination there. On one hand, it's a little bit of Rashid Khan. It's also a little bit of a man who's not in form and a bit indecisive and kind of not sure if he was going forward or coming back, and not really offering enough of a proper shot, not trying to get to the pitch of the ball. And I suppose it's one of those things. The more pressure you're under, the higher the chances you're going to play what is, let's be honest, quite a crap shot.
Yeah, I think there. I mean, Riley, so no aggression. They're just trying to sort of push it down to the leg side and get himself through for a single. Australian was getting a bit bogged down, so I think trying to sort of rotate the strike there. We are on the lookout at the moment for Mr. Dan Scholz, who's currently sitting in that MI Cape Town crowd. He does have a knack for finding himself on TV, so we'll might see if we can find him. But that wicket does bring on Sinuran Mutusami, left-handed bat. He's played 53 T20 matches in his career, scoring 870 runs and an average of 24. A strike rate of 111, 5 T20 50s. Not a particularly big ball striker, and I think these two as well. Even Tinas de Brain, I think has capacity to find the boundary, but not necessarily your traditional sort of T20 power hitter. And I think these two now will have to really consolidate because Rashid Khan is looking really good. He's gone 2 for 4 in his 10 deliveries so far. But a big innings.
Yeah, what an over this is, eh? What an over this is turning out to be.
Yeah, and Mutusami going
I mean,
back
that's
there.
one.
There's the first run off the over. Tinas de Brain will see the last, and then if I'm Tinas de Brain, I'm just negotiating this last ball.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you can see how dangerous this man's been. He's gone for one off this entire over. Dot, wicket, one. One to go. 2 wickets so far for 5 runs. He's bloody good, isn't he?
Yeah, no, best in the world. Best in the world. It's... I don't think
he's great to watch. He's great to watch so far. So I'm Tinas de Brain right now, as you said. I'm just looking to maybe steer this away for one or try and maybe, I mean, ideally you want to steer it away for one, keep the strike, but otherwise you just keep this one out as far as I'm concerned. And that means at least you're halfway through Rashid's spell, which is correct, exactly what he does. He just kind of pushes it away down to long on there for a single, meaning the end of the 9th over. 96 for 3 currently at the crease is Mutusami and de Brain both on 1. With, as I say, 11 overs left to go. What do you make of it so far, Steve?
Well, it was the Will Jack show. It's not about it. It was all about him in the early stages, but Rashid Khan is now definitely jumping in the spotlight, and the MI Cape Town captain has been a big ace up the MI Cape Town sleeve the entire tournament. He's one of the best in the world for a reason, and he's definitely shown his class here. Those are 2 big overs. I think Odin Smith, I'm sure, will continue. Yeah, also got the breakthrough as well, so it was an important moment for him. And yeah, I think Riley Rousseau here, just doesn't pick it at all and gets himself in trouble a lot. Would have liked to have seen him gone forward, almost be able to aggressive, try and bring out that sweep shot, sort of almost just play for the googly and kind of. I hope. I mean, Rashid Khan is always going to rush you, so going back puts you in a precarious position because he's got so much pace. But Jofra Archer, I suppose when you're on top, try and pounce, comes in for a second over, and Tinas de Brain just sort of keeps it out. This is good. I think it's a good captaincy as well. I think you've broken the back of the batting line with those 3 big wickets. In theory, those are your 3 big batsmen. You've now got Tiens Brennan's and good nick. Mutasami is not known for his power hitting. And the first thing you do is you go to your big strike bowlers, try and say, right, give me another couple, give me another wicket here, another 2 wickets here. I mean, when you think that they were 82 for none, to be 96 for 3, if they were 96 for 4, that's a whole different ball game.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it really is. And I think, as you say, excellent captaincy bringing in Jofra Archer. Fine, his first over was a bit expensive at 12. But I mean, the man's only bowled 1 over. Let him bowl his second now. I mean, we want to keep him for the death, obviously. But you've also got a KG Rabada. Maybe you don't want him currently for the death. Absolutely. I think, we know that Archer's a strike bowler. We know that he can really get the business done. We know he's got plenty of pace, plenty of bounce on offer. He can generate a bit of movement here and there, both off the seaman with this, if you can get the ball to swing nicely. It's the perfect decision. I mean, as you say, 97 for 3 of 9.2 overs. We're not even halfway through the innings yet. 3 wickets down is one thing, but I think the more important thing is that you've got the danger men out. 97 for 3 reads very differently if De Bruyne's on 25 or 30, but he's on 2, and Mutasami's alongside him on 1.
And I think the important thing with Mutasami and De Bruyne is that they must play the situation, not necessarily to play the power play. What that power play has done is it's given them license now. Take a bit of time. Get, rotate strike. If 4, 5 and over, I say get to that 115 mark at 12 overs. You're still so well placed. I mean, we've seen what I think three runs in the last about almost 12 deliveries, and yet the run rate's still well above 10.
Yep.
So you just find that 4, 5 and over. But the biggest thing for me, this is where rotation of strike becomes so important. Dot ball build up, creating pressure. If you just find a way to rotate the strike, see like that. I mean, it's another dot ball. Or it's a wide actually is going to be called.
It's
so
a wide
bonus.
Ball, yeah.
They're 146. They're actually already sort of pushing that one through. But if you can just find 4 to 5 singles every over for the next couple of overs, get to 13 overs, consolidate a little bit, keep those wickets in hand, then you can really kind of launch, get to grips with the pitch, because it is a good pitch, and the pitch doesn't change over, all of a sudden. So it's the same pitch that Will Jacks was really hammering people on. So get to grips with it, and once you know it, I think there's so many runs out there. But play the situation. Don't be fooled into thinking you now still have to go 12 and over. And another 2 wickets go, and all of a sudden you've got Wayne Parnell walking out there with 10 overs to go, or 11 overs to go, up to 9 overs to go.
Which is what I wanted to ask you. So you reckon bringing in Mutasami, as we see the very man himself punching it out into the deep, there is a deep point there who comes forward to sort that out, just gets a couple of runs there, 2 runs off that delivery, puts Mutasami onto a whole 3 off 3 now. So that's what I wanted to ask you is, Mutasami, as we said, he's not really the biggest striker of the ball. His strike rate's 111, as you said. Do you think it would have been, he's the right guy to bring in, do you think it would have been too early for Wayne Parnell or for a Jimmy Neesham to come in now to try and capitalize on the momentum they've made?
Well, it looks like they're going to have to come on anyway, because Jofra Archer's beaten Mutasami. I think he's beaten him for pace there, and he's got him all sorts there. He brings out the Marcus Rashford celebration, as many people do. Even young Arsenal boys are bringing out when they score their goals. So, salute to the celebration. But yeah, I think Mutasami was the right sort of player for the situation. But Jofra Archer's just done all sorts there. It's quick. It's come back a little bit. It's straightened on Mutasami. He's put in a defensive shot there. Not really looking to go after him, and that's world class.
But also, I mean, it's a bad cricket shot for me. I mean, he wasn't going forward, he wasn't going backward. There was no foot movement really at all. He was just he looked like he was just trying to sort of defend it from himself. He didn't look like he was really trying to do anything specifically with it. He wasn't even decisively trying to defend it, if that makes sense. Nonetheless, he goes for 3. So that's, as you said now, well, you said it at 97, but hell, it's the same thing at 100. 100 for 4 now, not even 10 overs gone. Do you reckon that's trouble, or are we still advantage Pretoria Capitals?
I think it's still advantage Pretoria Capitals, but it's a bit of a disaster, and the Pretoria Capitals batting coach will be having an absolute heart attack. To be 82 for none after the power play and to then lose 4 wickets for 18 runs is irresponsible, I think. And again, a couple of half shots, couple of I mean, that shot there, I get, play each ball in its merit, and I don't mind keeping a couple of balls out, but look to score. I mean, you've got to be positive. You've got to look to score. Get yourself into the line of the ball, and now you've got, Clive Fortain, who's not again, he's not a prolific T20 player. Lots of
No, he's
experience.
alright.
He's not got a particularly high average. He does have a T20 100 to his name, so he can play. He knows the game. But
But I mean, he's facing a different kettle of fish here in a Jofra Archer, for example.
Correct. And I think it's been interesting to see how the local lads have been in the tournament. I think if you look at it, funny enough, the local bowlers have actually had the edge over the international counterparts. But from a batting perspective, the international batters have definitely had the rub of the green compared to the locals. They strike better and better. You think of the looks of Will Jacks, Adam Rossington, for example. Jimmy Neeshan's played some really good knocks. Lewis Deploy's looked really good. It's been interesting to see how the international batsmen have fared really well. And I think the local batsmen, all of a sudden are realize it's a big learning curve. It's a massive learning curve. It's exactly what we want to see from this kind of tournament, because all of a sudden, Ryan Rickleton's going from facing, and no disrespect to some of the bowlers in and around the country, but it's very different facing some of your first, second, third change bowlers, from the Warriors compared to now facing a Rashid Khan, one Ian Jofra Archer, to an Odin Smith, to a Kakuta Rabada. These are all international superstars. And you don't get a break. You've got no part-timers you can go after.
And also, there's not going to be as many loose deliveries. Do you think this is a kind of a symbol of cricket in South Africa at the moment? We've got, the local bowlers are doing the business, but the local batters are struggling.
Well, I think it's we've always produced world class bowlers. We continue to produce world class bowlers. We've got an absence of batting talent, for example, on our test side at the moment. Whereas we continue to produce world class bowlers. I'm not here. We didn't know who he was in 2018, and he's now one of the most feared bowlers in the world right now. In terms of sheer pay, Marco Jansen's come in and looked really good. And our bowlers just tend to always be able to take a step up, but our batsmen do seem to be struggling, and I think we produce a lot of bowlers. This could be a bit close. I tell you what, this could be a bit close.
Could be. I think he was maybe in.
I tell you what, I think he could be walking.
Really?
He's taking his gloves off and he's walking. I tell you, if this is a run out, this would be absolutely childish from Pretoria Capitals.
Let's have a look. My initial instinct was that he's okay. Yeah. My goodness, it's taking out plenty of turf there from the.
What I'm about to say, I don't think the Nunes grounds will be too chuffed watching that, but he's well in.
It looks like you with the 7-9.
You didn't even see me hit a 7-9.
I know, but I felt the dust on my car from across the province.
I wish I could hit a nice little divot, a little tiger divot under that 7-9 as we stick near the green.
Yours normally the one in the teeth, eh?
I'll tell you, my 7-9's handy. It's handy.
And your 4?
I can't hit my 4. I don't hit my 4.
I see.
It stays in the bag. I go driver to 6-iron, and there's nothing in between.
I get you. No, I fully understand that. As we see this little simple punctuated point, Linda back into the attack, should I say. What do you make of that? A good idea? I personally like bringing Linda back into the attack now. I think these two guys are they don't look like they're really getting away. They look like they're getting a bit bogged down. I think, you want to get, to me personally, I believe you want to bowl George Linda out as quickly as possible. You don't want him at the end.
Well, I think also what's quite important is this is 2 right-handed batsmen. We've seen a lot of left-hand, right-hand combinations. 2 right-handed batsmen now at the crease, bring on that left arm, get the ball turned away from them. Matthias Brain goes inside out. It should be in the gap. I'm not sure what's going to rate. There's a fielder out there, but it's a nice shot for Matthias Brain. We'll get back for 2. This has been a nicely negotiated over, if you ask me. I think they've got 6 off it with the ball to come. No real risks. Just some good running. It's a nice shot from Matthias Brain. Nicely controlled. Doesn't look to overhead. Just sort of goes over the top, finds the gap out there. Yeah, so I think that's a big thing. I think, bring on the left arm to the 2 right-handers, try and slide it inside and see if you can get one to turn away a little bit. Rashid Khan obviously still with you. That's pretty well played. That's very well played from Tez Brain. But yet that's so late. And it beats point and finds a boundary. And all of a sudden you find 10. No risks there from Tez Brain. He's in good nick. Is Tez Brain. And that's
the kind of thing I want to see. That's the kind of thing I want to see from the Pretoria Capitals now. I'm a Pretoria Capitals fan or coach. I mean, now when you just steer that nicely, through the backward point region for 4. And again, there's no need to be silly here. There's really no need to be silly here. I mean, sure, fine, you're 4 wickets down and you lost those 4 wickets over a very short space of time. But any kind of a conventional knowledge will say don't panic. don't panic here. Just play it out nicely. And I think that's what they've just done now with that last over. I mean, you look at that economy rate, it makes for some tricky reading. You know, George Leather bowled 3, he's gone for 35, economy of 11.67. KG Rabada's bowled just the 2 overs, but for 32 runs. He's gone along with 16 and over. And they're going to play now. They're going to bowl him at the death, are they?
Yeah, I'm not sure he'll bowl full, but I think he'll probably will bowl full, but I think they'll keep him for the last stage. But I think the important thing here is Baptiste de Bruyn has played spin quite well. He does play spin quite well. I think his only test century has come in Sri Lanka, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So he does play spin quite well, and we saw in the last over, you know, he very much gets to the pitch of the ball. That last one was a bit back of the length, so he just waits in and cuts it nice and late. Clive Fortain now will face Odin Smith, but that was the perfect type of over. You get another one of those sort of overs now. Clive Fortain, that's nicely played, just sort of cuts it to what's a wide sort of third man, and yeah, again 7-8 with this over, and you're sitting on 120 after 12, which is perfect. It's exactly where you want to be as a launch pad.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at this point, if I'm, you know, if I'm Pretoria now, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, look at where we are. We're a little bit, almost, you know, a little bit over halfway through the innings, 111 now. 4 wickets down. Test de Bruyn is looking in some good touch. Clive Fortain kind of hasn't really done it, as we see a kind of just a flat battered pull that pulls him down to the deep mid wicket region. From is that de Bruyn there? Moving on to 10 now, another single taken. Yeah, if I'm looking at this now, I'm going 112, 11.2 overs gone. Surely your target is 200, right? I think for me, that's where I'm looking at this. I'm going 200 is probably my target.
Yeah, I mean, the last 5 overs have been 5, but I think, again, you know, you get to 120 after 12. 10 and over gets you to 200, so you don't have to go, and that's well negotiable on Clive Fortain. This could be a 4, you know, that's brilliant field. I tell you what, Ryan Rickleton, if I was him, I wouldn't get the surgery. Whatever surgery he needs, I wouldn't get it, because yeah, whatever medication or treatment that I think that he's having to allow him to play has turned him into a bit of a super athlete out there.
You know, this guy just continues to make the selectors, the Proteas selectors, look like idiots, doesn't he?
I mean, the medical. I mean, I know they got their policies, but you must be sitting there as, imagine being the guy that made the call to say no, we can't take him into his injury, and you're watching him now, and you're going shit.
Look, I mean, there's a bit more drama than that. I think, you know, I think there's a lot more at play here than just this supposed medical injury. I mean, I know that there's a couple of senior guys, or certainly one senior guy in the test setup who really does not get on with him. No one's to say who's at fault for that. Obviously, we aren't there for those things, but there is a little bit more to, you know, to kind of look at for why Ryan Rickleton has not been selected for the Proteas setup. But that aside, I feel like, for God's sake, you're a grown-ass adult man. You know, you're all adults here. The Proteas setup desperately needs you. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever for that man to not be putting on a Proteas jersey.
Well, I think the annoying thing as well is that for the test series, they came out and said it was a medical issue. Then they announced the ODI squad, and they say, so has Ryan Rickleton still been omitted for medical reasons? And they came and said, no, there's just no space for him in the squad. And you're suddenly going, okay, so just to clarify, you know, we haven't automatically qualified for the one-day cup final or the one-day World Cup. We're probably going to have to qualify. Yeah. We've been dreadful. I think we're sitting about 11th or 10th in the ODI standings. He was probably the top scorer in the domestic one-day cup, but there's no space for him in the squad. Oh, cool. That makes sense. Thanks, Jeff. Just as long as we cleared that up.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, it's complete and utter bullshit. By the way, as we see the last ball of the over from Odin Smith, it's a good one. No one seems to know where it is. Oh, there we go. It's at the floor. So dot ball there, ending the 12th over, which is the magic number, as you said, Steve. 116 for the loss of 4. Now, you always say you want to double your target or double your total from here. So that would make it, if my maths is any good, 232.
Yeah, look at you. Private school education was not wasted on you.
What can I say, you know? And I didn't even take proper maths. Yeah, so 232. Is that still feasible with 4 wickets out?
Look, I mean, assuming Nishan to come, Chance de Bruyn still there. Clive Fortain hopefully can take. I think they'll be happy with anything north of 200. You know, I do think that they have said that it's a ground which is we're chasing. I mean, Rashid Khan, by the way, 1 wicket away from 500 T20 wickets. Looking for that one as he brings himself on. I reckon I'll see his last 2 here on the trot. He does go to Chance de Bruyn. Nice full face of the bat there from Tennis de Brain there. And yeah, look, I think that anything north of 200, I think they'd be very happy with. I mean, David DeVille's talking about 180. Vertical landed at 160, but the pitch does look a good one. The nice thing is I don't think you have to bat out of your socks to get to 200. You know, you got a little handy knock. Tennis de Brain's 10 of 10. You know, I think he's now taken 10 deliveries. I think you should kind of know where you're at. You're batting against Rashid Khan, so you don't want to go.
Well, he kind of does have a go there, but he sort of pulls it out just in front, almost towards the long on region. Just gets a single for it, but it does look like he may be. Well, no, sorry, for De Bruyne. So it doesn't look like he might be going for it. As you say, he's faced 10 deliveries now. I mean, 10 off 10. You kind of, you want to be 35 off 20. I think at this point, based on how you've gone so far, I'd say at least 35 off 20. 38, somewhere around there would be ideal. As we see Clyde Fontaine now just bat that one out, grabs another single as he pushes it towards the middle, well, no, more towards kind of point region for another single. So 2 off the over so far, halfway through the over. I think, look, on the other side of the coin, though, Steve, you've got to say, yes, okay, it's time to go now, maybe, but do we not just let Rashid bowl first? Oh my goodness,
that drags back a lot. Yeah, look, I think the big thing is I think you've got to, especially with T20 cricket, you cannot get bogged down on both ends. So if you're gonna give Rashid Khan the respect he deserves, fine. Also, again, rotate strike, which they've done quite nicely. Make sure he's going for at least 6 or 7, and then on the other end, right? I don't care who it is. If it's Odie Smith, if it's Jofra Archer, you can't sit there saying, right, we've got 2 world-class players, you have to see them both off. You know, so. You know, they've rotated strike nicely here. They're looking for 2 there potentially. Let's settle for the 1. It's been a better over for Rashid Khan. It's 4 from it. If they could find a boundary, it'd be a great over. But take on the other end then. You know, be brave at the end of the day. You can't. The last couple of overs have gone for 5 and over. You know, 120 at 12 is fine. But you know, when you think if you're 82 through the power play, you don't want to be sitting at 140 after 16 overs. You know.
No, sure.
So, yeah, I think to this Brain especially, you know, he's taken. I mean, and both these batsmen actually, Fontaine 10 deliveries, De Bruyne 13 deliveries. You should be in. I mean, by this time, I think Will Jack's sitting at about 35, 36. Whilst he was playing the power play, 100%, different sort of situation. You've now gotten yourself in. You've got yourself a start. You look to try and take on whoever's on the other end because Rashid Khan will have one over left, and that'll take us through the end of the 15th over. So if this is Odie Smith, this is Subada, this is Jofra Archer, this is George Linder, I'll be looking at this over saying 8-9 off it at the minimum.
Yeah, look, I mean, it is a tricky one. Do you think Fontaine's going to do that? Do you think he will? I mean, he's just come in for Dadswell now, as you say, making his debut. Is he going to be brave enough now to say, right, well, you know, I'm going to take on Jofra Archer?
I'll be very honest. I don't think Clive Fontaine's going to play a lot this tournament. I didn't think he was going to play much before the tournament. You know, he's coming for Shane Dadswell, who's failed. And I think they'd be quite upset that he's failed. For me, it's a high risk, high reward. I think that if he plans on remaining in this MI Cape Town side, I don't know if Liam Livingston has a chance of coming back after later in the tournament. Tears to Brave flashes at that early, nice and aggressive early on, and goes out to the deep, so it'll just be the single. I think Fontaine's got nothing to lose. I really do. I think that, you know, if he goes and plays a nuggety 22 or 26, they're going to go, not really, you know, fine, cool, you got some runs, but not what we want. I think if I was him, I'll be thinking, let me play a knock here. Let me, and if it's 20, I mean, if he's 9 off 10, if he goes and gets 30 or 16, I think I'll sit there saying, right, there we go. You know, 25 or 16 even, you know, you can bring a lot of value. So, yeah.
So we see him playing that one later game for another single.
But this, I mean, you can see the run rate dropping with every single. It's been a long time since we've had a boundary. I think if you look at just when we did last see a boundary, I think we're going to see it probably be at least about 2-3 overs. So the last boundary coming in, I think it's the 11th over there.
Yeah, I mean, that's bloody ages away.
Yeah, so it's been about, called 16, 70 balls almost now since the last boundary. So need to try and find the ropes here. And that'll be a wide though. So that'll
should be a wide from Aidan Smith, is it?
No, I think Tess Branch got it wrong there.
I don't know. It's a bit. We're just having a look now at those drop catches. Over the top. No, wait, hang on. Those highlights. Yeah, absolutely. All right. It's funny now because as we're watching this run rate dry up, Do you think, do you think those drop catches are going to cost them, or do you think it's a case of they're not doing, they've managed to make up for it?
Shout over the top is the fielder out there. Look, I mean, I think you will trust him at the end of the day. Regardless of what these two go on to do. They dropped Kusal Mendes in the first over. He went on to make 29 of 19 and a strike rate of 52. They dropped Will Jackson the second over. He went on to make 62 of 27. And that platform, that power play, we don't know how this is going to play out. But if they get to 200 and 210 and that becomes a pretty easy total to defend, they'll go back and look at that power play and say that's where what was the difference. And two drop catches of the two bowlers that took us part in the power play really impacted. Now this is a good over from Odin Smith, a bad over for MI Cape Town. 3 from it so far. They have looked to try aggressive, but they can't find any of the gaps. And that run rate dropping now below 9 for the first time in this innings. And yeah, it's still time to go. 6 overs to go, but what should have been, I mean, if you get to if this is a dot ball, for example, you're then looking at 80 or 6 overs. So you're not looking at over 10 and over, where the run rate's been about 5, been half that for the last thing. So you're now starting to have to really up the ante to get to 200. And I think anything below 200 would be a waste after that power play.
So it's interesting. We keep talking about this being a batting deck and etc. 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 We've seen Will Jacks come along and really sort of decimate it, and Kusal Mendes was good for his 29 off 19. But they were both dropped very early on. If they'd been caught, would we still be saying this is a batting deck? I mean, maybe it isn't such a batting deck.
Yeah, to be honest, I still think it is. I think you look at the deliveries. We've had 2. I think it's 2 caught behinds there. You look at the delivery from they got Mutasami, and it deviates slightly, but there are no demons. There's been no invariable bounce. That's a no ball. They have to bowl that again. That's a dreadful no ball. How has that not been picked up earlier? I think Will Jacks as well. Just also sort of caught in between. I don't think there are no demons in the pitch. I think it's coming on nicely. We haven't actually really seen anyone really deceived by a slow ball. I think it is a bit of a bounce. I think Rashid Khan's bowled very well. I think he's broken the back there. He's bowled a really good spell. But in many ways, I think that if to be very harsh almost, I think the likes of Tennis Brains. So Tennis Brains look alright, but I think the likes of Mutasami, Forte, and even Riley Rousseau have made the pitch look a lot more difficult than it is, because we saw Will Jacks and Kusal Mendes both, just hammering away. And yes, once again, we know it's during the power play, but I don't think there are any demons pitch. I do think this is a 180 to 200 pitch, and they put themselves in the perfect position to get there. I think if they don't get there, it'll be because of poor batting rather than a good pitch or great bowling.
Look, I mean, the bowling has not been bad. Let's be fair. I mean, Odin Smith, he also hasn't looked too bad. I mean, if he goes and gets a dot ball here, that'll be 16 off 3 overs. That puts him under
3 hits, and that's gone miles in the air. Has it gone miles? Has it gone all the way?
Yes, it has.
And you see that's been very much overdue. And credit to Tennis to Brave, because they really needed that. I mean, it was 3 off the over, no ball, 4 off the over. He dispatched it for 6. 11 off the over is the final. And that's the over they need. And we said earlier, we said you got to go after another end. And I think that no ball, that's frustrating from an MI Cape Town. They were about to have strategy break as well. So I think MI Cape Town will be really frustrated with it, because I think they would have thought that they'd really put themselves into a hole. But that 6, I think, is just potentially even broken the shackles a little bit for Tennis to Brain.
I like to believe so. Yeah, I think it maybe has.
Right. So as we go to the strategy break, we'll ourselves go into a break. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Go and get your beverages. Go and get yourself sorted. It's a Monday evening. If there was ever an excuse to open a beer and watch a bit of cricket, then the fact that the SA20 is probably.
It's Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. It's Monday. All right, good.
Apparently, I only know the days of the week because on Sunday I play cricket. That's about the only reason I know the days of the week.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much the same with me. I've got no real reason to know the difference between Monday and Wednesday. It's just how they're spelt.
Yeah. There's one day a week I have to get my whites out, and when that's the day, I know the next day is Monday. That's my that keeps me aligned.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right, we'll see you guys in a bit. Chat to you soon. Right, and we are back, and Rashid Khan, wicket number 500 in T20 matches for him, and he's got the breakthrough. And Clive Fortain had a chance today to prove himself, and didn't really take it, it must be said. And Jimmy Neesham now to the crease, and interesting decision there. They were so busy, I think, talking about the people at Abu Dhabi. I think it was actually a potential catch there. But yeah, Rashid Khan, I mean, this has been a spell for the ages. 3 for 11 and 3.2 in a match where the run rate has been around 12. Sits at about 9 at the moment. And these are the two batsmen. I think these two batsmen are there after 20, and I think we're probably sitting on about 200 plus.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, Tennis de Bruin is kind of, he hasn't looked, look, he's looked more comfortable than Fortain, but as we see, Neesham just get onto his knee there, pull that one down.
I think that's the first boundary actually off Rashid's spell so far, actually.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually. I can double check that one.
Yeah, no boundary. That's the first boundary. Jimmy Neesham's come in and he's just gone to the knee and swept him past Odin Smith. That's a good shot there from Jimmy Neesham, actually. And,
yeah, it is a good shot.
Yeah, and
he's such a T20 player, isn't he? Oh.
Neesham. Yeah, and I think again, I like that. I like, you got to be a bit positive. At the end of the day, I think people have let, and now he goes over the top, or trying to go over the top, and try to cast it out to a deep square leg. But I think sometimes, 99 kilometers an hour, and that kind of shows you where Rashid Khan's threat is. The pace in which he bowls. But I think sometimes it's a case of you've got two ways to go about it. You can try and negotiate, you can try to see him off, but sometimes a little bit of aggression doesn't help. Sometimes you got to put the pressure back on the bowler, and if you let Rashid Khan just bowl at you, I think you're always going to be in trouble. He's one of the best. He's probably the best T20 spinner in the world. One of the best T20 spinners ever. And if you let him bowl at you, if you let him attack you, you're going to get yourself unstuck. So whilst this difficult, he's one of the most difficult people to attack. Every now and again, it's not the worst idea to just try and go after him a little bit.
No, sure, absolutely. I think, if there's one oak who's ever really gonna take the innings to you, it's gonna be a Jimmy Neesham. So it's good to see him. I mean, okay, fine, that is that's Rashid's over finish, but he really, he's been very good. He's 3 for 16 off his 4. But Jimmy Neesham will do it. Jimmy Neesham is the kind of guy who will take you on. He's always that kind of a positive cricketer, positive bowler, positive batter. He's not afraid to take the risks here and there. So, look, I mean, I think, while it's been a wonderful spell from Rashid Khan, should I say, he needs now the rest of his players to come and close that out. We see Sam Curran's only bowled 1. But he went for 15. Jofra Archer has got an 8 and over. He has taken the wicket.
Speak of the devil, he is back into the attack, and I think that Jimmy Neesham, look, he's going to be vital here. He strikes at 141 in T20 cricket. He's got 5 overs here with Tennis de Bruin, who should be set with 18 balls, and these two now need to go out and get them to 200. You've got to be aggressive now. There's 5 overs left. There's no more Rashid Khan. Yes, you got Jofra Archer. Yes, you got Keisha Rabada. You got Sam Curran who's going to come in as well, I'm sure. Probably bowl at least 1 over. I don't think we'll see George Linder, but it'll be pace on now for the last 5 overs. And you've got to now be a bit aggressive here. And Bankston's short, and Neesham happy to just keep that one out. But yeah, run rate's at 9. Yeah, I think in the last 5, even in the next 2, 9, 10 and over, try get there, and then really go hell for leather. I mean, you still got a couple of batsmen: Ethan Bosch, Wayne Parnell, Adil Rashid. The first 2 can definitely clear a boundary. So you still got a couple of batsmen there. So you don't necessarily have to worry too much more wickets in hand. Worry about that 200 mark. For me.
Yeah, for me that's exactly it. It's all about 200 here. I think it depends what Neesham does. If Neesham chips in with a 20 here, or 25 or something, then I think they're 200s on. We know that Ethan Bosch and Wayne Parnell certainly have no trouble clearing the boundary, but they're not the people that you want to rely on to do it. And I think, Neesham, he's had he's kind of felt his way around a little bit. 6 off 6 at the moment. He'll probably be looking at the last 4 overs and going, well, if I can add another 20 runs off maybe 10 balls, or 20 runs off 9 balls or something like that, which is the kind of explosiveness we've seen from him in the past. It's something that there's no doubt he can do. That's really where I think the 200's on. I think if he goes out now, I have to say that I believe Ethan Bosch and Wayne Parnell just don't have the legs to take them to 200.
Yeah, look, I think it's about small targets, and I think you've got to you're going to look at that 150 by about 16.3. You try and get to 160 by about 17. Give yourself 40 runs here in the last three and back yourself. You know, you need at the end of the day, if you can find that 1 over which disappears for 20, for example, that brings 200 right into the equation. So pick a bowler. It doesn't have to be Joffrey Archer, for example. But a half-hearted sort of push outside there for Junior, not exactly what is on the order of the day. Find a bowler and go after him. You know, you've got it. And the problem is it's going to be a good bowler because it's a good tournament. So you're going to have to pick a Joffrey Archer, a Kaiser Rabada, a Sam Curran, and you're going to have to go after them. I don't think we might see Odin Smith. He's been pretty economical so far today. We might see him bowl again. I don't think we'll see George Linder, who's been expensive and now sort of bowling the death. But pick a bowler.
I mean, Rabada has really not been great, has he? Rabada seems to be the one that they want to go after. He's gone at 16 and over. He's bowled 2. He's gone for 32 runs.
Yeah, well, I think
so. I mean, yeah. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I think you always got Rabada in the death. I think you're always backed. You know, got that Yorker. Yeah, I think Will Jack's got a hold of him. I do feel sorry because I think he should have had Will Jack early and didn't, and then got taken apart. So yeah, I think Rabada will bowl. I'll be interested to see if he bowls 17-19 or if he bowls 18-20. But I do think he'll bowl. He potentially bowls. He'll bowl at least one now, and that's a.
Is that a wicket?
No, it could be a wide even. I think, given the expression, yeah, it is a wide. It's a 4 from the over. We've got to find a boundary here. We can't, as the MIK told you can't afford for the 16th over to go for just 4 at this stage. That run rate is dropping rapidly, and it's just a mental thing. 10 and over. 10 and over is a big thing when you walk out there because it means if you don't have a good power play,
the match disappears very, very fast from you. Yeah, it really does. Nice to see, by the way, while we're looking at these kind of panoramic shots, as Jock Archer comes in for his last ball, and
has he got all of it? Yeah, that's exactly what we needed from tennis to brain. Does find the boundary, he gets a maximum. So what was 4 and over becomes 10 and over. That's a bit more like it.
Yeah, he picked the slow ball nicely there. Kind of just took a step outside the leg stump and gave himself some room.
Interesting to see mid-on was in the ring there, so it was a pretty low risk shot in the end.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, look, tennis brain's an experienced campaigner. He's not going to just swing and hook.
Well, last year he actually didn't have to overhit that. I mean, if mid-off is out, it's caught. It didn't clear the boundary by masses, but in the ring. So yeah, just give himself the room, puts his hands through it. And tennis to brain, 28 of 20. He's played a couple of handy knocks in this tournament, and this is shaping up to be a good one. 147 for 5 after 16. You're not looking at 53 in the final 4. Ideally, so you're looking at about 12 and over to try and get there, which is very gettable. Graham Smith is doing a bit of spade work out there, bowling a spell himself.
Yeah. Isn't he just? The less said about that is probably the better. He'll be hoping to get one over, but is what it is. As we see Rabada coming back into the crease, so he's going to be bowling 17 and 19. Then it looks like. No,
yeah,
17
I think a lot of people, and I'm a big advocate of this, I believe that the 19th over is that the penultimate over is almost more important than the final over. So Rabada comes in, first one's wide, Jiminician's carved it out straight out towards the sweeper. I think we'll see. I think this is very much seeing if Rabada can hit his lengths and can execute a plan, and if he can, then he'll bowl the 19th as well. I think we'll probably see Joffrey Archie come back for his final one. And then they'll have to pick between Odin Smith and Sam Curran for that 20th over.
It's going to be a bit tricky though to play a Sam Curran. He's only bowled 1 over. He's gone for 15. They need to pick him apart a bit. But as you say, it was during those early overs.
He's the most expensive IPL player. I'll be telling him, that could be trouble. I don't think he's actually got enough of that to be in trouble. Yeah, as he calls it out. Tears to brain. Done by a slow ball there. 190 kilometers per hour. That one there. So 2 from 2 in this over. Good start here from Rabada. And the one thing we haven't seen too much is ingenuity in some of the shots we played. We've seen very few ramps. We've seen no sort of reverse sweeps or anything like that. It's been quite orthodox.
Yeah, quite circumspect. It has been. But I mean, look, when you're facing a Kagiso Rabada, you're facing a Joffrey Archer, you're facing a Rashid Khan. Do you have time now for inventive ramps and scoops and whatnot, or do you just try and hope they give you a little bit of length and just do what you can with it?
Well, I think at the end of the day, you've really got to think about from a death ball. So I think that was the right type of shot. I think he gets it wrong. I think he's expecting the Yorker, so he's just trying to put it wide of Grant Wilson. Yeah, it's just interesting that in the age of power hitting and adventurous, we haven't seen too much of it. Tends to brain there,
Mm.
and that's pretty well bowled from Rabada. It goes outside the edge, shaping up to be a bit of a disappointing over from my Cape Town perspective. Tends to brain struggling a little bit with the Rabada's change of pace. Um, yeah, I think
Yeah, no, Kenji's kind of bowling himself back in, yeah. But as we see things now, here he comes steaming in, and that one is hit straight back past Rabada. Didn't get all of
yeah,
it, but he did not get enough, in fact. Some fantastic covering there in the deep at long on region means
good
that
work
they'll
there
just
from
go
Jofra
through
Archer
for
because that was
two.
very straight.
Yeah, that was very straight. I mean, KG looked at that, and you could see kind of from the first moment he looked as though he was pretty certain that thing was going to go to the boundary. But as you say, some good work from Archer. It looks like they're going to check it as is customary, but it doesn't look very likely. It looks like that was safe.
About into the last. There we go. And you'll scamper through the single. I think it's the first. You talk about ingenuity there going across, but once again, that's slow. I mean, 100 kilometers per hour. That is incredibly slow from
Yeah,
Lisa
but
Rabada.
by KG standard, that's underhand.
Yeah, and so he literally goes slow ball bouncer. That's a brilliant over from Rabada. When you think that he went for 32 in his first two, to go for six in that situation is brilliant. 153 for five, 200 suddenly looks far away.
It does. It does. I mean, I was saying it for a while. I really think that 200 is the life goal here, and I think it's too far away. I think at the moment you almost need like a tennis to break to go out so that you can bring a Wayne Parnell in if 200 if 200 is going to be up for it.
Well,
But
you're into the last few. You got 18 balls now, so now it's time to. It's pedal to the metal.
absolutely,
Every ball's got to look to spear. We talked about that finding that 20 run over. Um, you know, and this
they need that one big one. They do
yeah.
need that big one.
You go and find a 20 and drop Archer will finish, so it'll then be I reckon Archer, Rabada, and then it's either Karen or Smith. I reckon we'll probably see Sam Karen would be my guess. But you've got to you can find 25. I mean, for example, you find a 20 run over now and you put it on 173. All of a sudden you need 27 or two. That's much more achievable. But you got to have that one over that really goes big.
Yeah, no, sure. Let's Joffre Archer now to finish his spell.
Yeah,
Bit of
bit of ingenuity. I don't think
inventiveness.
he's got it as fine as he wanted to, but it's gone over the head and we'll go for the four. Well played by Tennis de Brain.
Yes, no, it is. I mean, it's taken a while before we've actually seen some kind of evasive action from him, but he's done it. And against the bowler of the quality of Joffre Archer, he picked it. He sort of in a way almost premeditated it. Took a good few steps towards the offside and just managed to scoop that over. I mean, there was a fine leg in place, but not very deep. So it wasn't really the most risky shot. If he hadn't got it, he could have been
No,
in trouble. But
it's
here
a
we
well
are.
played shot to think. I think, and when he goes again, once again, this time he's gone straight short and it's gone. He's found the field. Just the brain will go. Not sure he should be trying that twice in a row.
But that was what I was worried about.
Yeah, at the end of the day, find legs in the ring. So he's trying to, and he knows the drop for Archer is going to bring in pretty full. So he's trying to get outside the line and just sort of ramp him over fine leg. This time he gets it completely wrong and it just chips it to Deval Brevis, who's sitting at that short fine leg. And a handy knock of 36 of 26 comes to the end for Tiz de Rey. He'll be frustrated because I think after having get himself in and just getting going, he would have liked to have seen it away. But 144 strike, 138.5 in the end there. It's a good knock from Tiz de Brain. Interesting to see now if they're going to send him Bosch up or Ed Parnell, captain's backing himself to see this out.
Yeah, look, I mean, Wayne Parnell, we've seen what he's done recently in a couple of the earlier matches where he really has come in and gone ballistic. And I think it was in that second match of the tournament, second match of the tournament, I think it was, where we saw him really, go crazy. And I think he scored something in the high 30s or like 12 deliveries or something, and took the game away from the opponents in that case. So I mean, maybe he's hoping for a repeat of that. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think bring himself in. He's got Ethan Bosch should he go out cheaply, who can certainly see out the last few overs.
Yeah, 100%. I think I back the decision for Parnell to bring himself out. He has been a good nick this tournament. Striker down 24 doesn't have. He's got 5 T20 but I think more importantly, this tournament he's looked pretty good and goes for straight. Yeah, but also I think you got Jimmy Neesham there, strikes at 144. I think a lot of this is also you give a bit of strikes to Jimmy Neesham. For example, now for Jimmy Neesham, I would be saying, right, you got two balls get dropped for us. Try and find the boundary, and then if I'm Wayne Parnell, I'm just going to try and hammer him. I mean, if it's Rabada, it comes back. Rabada, Yeah, again, 200 looking pretty far. I think, 180, they'll probably be. I think to be fair, if they'd offered them 180 at the start of the game, they probably would have said very much they'll be very happy with that. After the power play, I think it is a couple of rounds short. It gets away with that as he fires in the full toss, and Jimmy Neesham not able to get that away. So 6 from this over. It's all kind of just fizzled out there, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. No, it has. It's collapsed kind of monumentally. But again, I mean, we've said this in the beginning, didn't we? When Will Jacks is at the crease, they look a different side. And he's been the man for them so many times this tournament. Again, it's he's been the surprise package, and they look
Oh
at different
no!
team.
Oh no! He's got another wicket. Wayne Parnell stepped across his line. He's pailed it straight to the fielder. It's Delano Porkito takes the easiest of catches, and this has been a gem of an over from Jofra Archer. We talked about 160 being on. I tell you what, 200 was on, 180 on. 180 almost looks far away all of a sudden, that's not well done by Wayne Parnell. Poor shot selection. You'd think it's just a second ball. He goes across the line. He wants to try and go over the top.
But he didn't really hit it, did he? He just kind of got his bat in the way.
Yeah, I think the pace of the you can see slow ball just didn't pick it up early enough as well, and by the end of it, he's committed to the shot. And I think the problem is wanting to use the pace of Parnell and just go over. There wasn't enough pace on the ball. And at the end of the day, once you're in the position, you commit to the shot, hard to pull up. But Ethan Bosch will stride out. I like him though. I think Ethan Bosch is a solid player. He's bold. He's been brilliant with the ball.
He's very handy with the ball. You're right,
especially with the new ball. So he'll be looking to try and do well in the power play here. But Jofra Archer has come back and bowled a very good comeback. He's 3 for 32. His fourth year. Ethan Bosch tries to the crease. He's got one delivery to see out here. And then Jimmy Nish is going to have to he's going to have to play a bit of a good knock. He's got a lot of responsibility. He's going to be 12 balls after this, 159. Jimmy Nish is going to have to come to the party.
No, he really is. Look, I mean, I really rate him, and I think there's not that many people I'd rather have at the crease than Jimmy Nish in a situation like this. But Ethan Bosch, look, I mean, we know he can he can knock the ball around here and there. I think he's good for rotating the strike. If Nisham goes now, maybe the next over or so, 170, 180, as you say, is looking far. Which, based on your reading of the pitch so far, Steve, looks like it's going to be a bit of a short target, maybe a bit below par.
Well, I think it'll be interesting because again, it comes down to power play. The reason that 200 was looking so much on was because that power play was so good, and I think that if they get off to a good start, they get a similar power play. I think 180 becomes much easier to sort of tick off. If, however, they struggle in the power play, I mean, if you're sitting at 40 after the power play, and all of a sudden you got 14 overs to get 120, I think that's much easier. That's a really, really good shot from Ethan Bosch. Cricket shot, cover drive, boundary to end the over. Goes for 11 in the end. That wide, a bit costly for Jofra Archer. Ethan Bosch comes to the party there. Right, 164 for 7. 2 overs remaining. Beautiful shot. Nice high elbow. Quick outfield. Sam Curran tries to get across, but can't. Yeah, that's a nice way to finish the over. And again, I reckon we'll see Rabada to Jimmy Neesham. I think this is the big over. This disappears for 16, for example. You get to that 180 in this over, then anything over that's a bonus.
No, sure, absolutely. It's going to be interesting because I mean we've seen that they can take on Rabada. We saw his first 2 overs going for 32 runs. So it is there. Obviously, it'll depend on him and how he approaches the over and whether or not he hits those lengths that he wants to. But I mean, I think if Rabada misses his length by any stretch, or he misses his width a bit, you can take him apart. You can attack Kagiso Rabada, and I mean, obviously they have to now, irrespective of who bowls. I mean, as we see, it is KG Rabada coming in now to bowl that penultimate over. He gets just kind of misses the Yorker length though, but there is someone in the deep long off field, so it'll just be a single. They need it though. You're right, Steve. They need that 16 run over, that 20 run over or something. Because 165 for 7 now after 18.1 overs, I get the feeling that's not going to be enough. Although, how much of it do you think rests on the shoulders of one young Dewald Brevis?
I think in many ways the chase will depend on Grant Rulerson. I think he's been there. Oh, and this. Well played, Jimmy Neesham backing, good backing up. They get through for the single. Yeah, look, I think obviously if you talk about the power play, Ryan Rickleton, Devil Brevis will be the two in the spotlight, and I think that they've very much got the batting line to get the job done. You want Brevis and Rickleton to get off to a good start, and I think Grant Rudolphson is in such nice form and such nice nick. I think if you give him a good start, I think he's got the ability to really get stuck into a chase, and I think he's got that nice blend of, and Nisham is happy to duck underneath that. I think he was going for a single. I guess they're completely wrong, just Jimmy Neesham. He won't panic though, with Jimmy Neesham. He's been in the situation many a time. But yeah, I think Grant Rudolphson will be the batsman. I think they'll look to bat around. I think I wouldn't surprise me if they're sending Sam. They've been sending Sam Curran in at 3. Obviously got Rassi point of distance. So I would go Ryan Rickleton, Devil Sam Curran, and I'll tell them to be aggressive in the power play. Try and get them off to a good start, because if you can get a good power play start, the likes of a Grant Rudolphson and a Rassi point of distance are players who are primed to get you there. That's really, really good running from.
That is great running. Yeah, that is absolutely great running. They're putting the pressure on the fielder, who was Ryan Rickleton there, and they get this in the end. They get back for the 2. Yeah, look, I mean, I agree with you. Grant Rudolphson is definitely one to kind of to bat around, but you need to break the back, as you're saying, of that innings. I think the power play is so very important. So yes, keep Ryan Rickleton in. Keep Devil Brevis, and Sam Curran can also hit it, as we see Rabada come in now.
Oh, play. It was really wide. That's great from Neesham. Lots of width from Rabada. Misses his length as well. Neesham is happy to just throw his hands through it. And Devil Brevis needs to get a decent pair of sunnies. But apart from that, it's well played. It's well played. And it's what Neesham's been waiting for. Yeah, lots of width. It would have been probably would have been a wide if he had left it. But it's a bit of a gimme in the end. Rabada completely missing his length. They're trying to fire in that wide Yorker. And Jimmy Neesham, that's so well played. Players that are late.
It's the wide full toss,
and just gets it through for that 4. So right, last ball of the over. Important that this also needs to find the boundary, or at the very least, probably a boundary or single is the bare minimum. And Jimmy Neesham will want the strike. He carves it out towards the deep. There's going to be a gap there. I'm about to say that could go all the way. It does go all the way. Good end to the
Lovely
over.
Shot. Lovely shot.
12 from the over. That's a good over. 176 for 7. 200 off the cards, unless this is a blinder, but 180, 190 even potentially on it. Jimmy Neesham.
So what's it now? Sam Curran coming to the crease?
Yeah,
coming to ball?
That's what I would. That was my call. That was my early call. I still back. I do think it will be Sam Curran.
Sam Curran over Odin Smith.
Yeah, I think it will. As a death bowler perspective, I think they will go Sam Curran.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'd maybe let Odin Smith take some of the pace off, but he hasn't got too bad. I mean, he's gone 1 for 22.
Well, I think it could be Odin Smith, actually, just given the person who looks to be trying to the bowling end. Yeah, it will be Smith. Yeah, it will be Odin Smith. So they're backing the form of him. It's an interesting decision. Look, I suppose you live and die by your decisions. I'm not to dismiss the quality of Odin Smith, but Sam Curran is someone who can bowl and often does bowl towards the death. But at the end of the day, I suppose it's always that weird. Do you go with the same as Rabada, who was carted, but she said they're saying he's one of the best death bowlers in the world. So do you go and back the man who's good in the death, or do you go and say, right, this player he's bowling with confidence, he's looking good today, I'm going to back him?
Look, I mean, I think
at the end of the day, I mean, look at Rabada, a spell, and his 12.25 economy is not a good one. That's a good start from Odin Smith, takes pace off. And I'm not sure he's found the gap there.
Go to the boundary. It doesn't look like it will. That looks like the batters are running through. So they're going to push. They're going to push for the third.
Who knows what was happening out there? The cameraman is out there. So that's a 3 to start the over. It's a nice 3 to start the over. And more to the point, that's Jimmy Neesham. That's actually probably the perfect result, to be honest.
In a way, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So here we see the replay. So what happened?
So Dr. Archer goes down. The ball's up there. He looks like a wounded. He looks like a beach whale, really, out there. And this is what I look like when I wake up after a day of cricket. I just can't get back up.
No, I understand. I mean, it's what I look like after the pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So there we go. So I suppose not the best, most neat fielding, but nonetheless did prevent the boundary. So 3 runs, as you say, bringing Jimmy Neesham back onto strike. 179 for 7 now. 9.34 runs per over. 21 off 16. Jimmy Neesham at the crease. Where do you go now? Do you go wide Yorker?
See, the problem is, I think, the question is can Ethan, what, well, I suppose you've got to go Odin Smith. What can he execute? He's got a very good change of pace.
Mhm.
I wonder if the slow ball bouncer might not come out sometime. Does go wide, and Jimmy Nishan stands and delivers. It should be straight out to the field. A good fielding there from Rabada. They do come through for the single, which is interesting to see. Nishan back Bosch. And I like to see that. I look Bosch 7-3, so I mean, why wouldn't you back him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, played a very nice shot for that boundary as well. So I guess last over you kind of take what you get. I think any dot ball in the 20th over is a bit of a bit of a waste.
Yeah, so 180 for 7. The 180 mark has been reached. Still 4 deliveries to go. So 190 could still be on, but Ethan Bosch, yeah, I'll try and go big there. Does fine. I wondered if we might see that slow ball bouncer. 134, so not really so almost a stop delivery there, but yeah, Ethan Bosch
Look, it's a
missed
dot
out on
ball.
that.
It's a valuable dot ball there. Yeah. Having a quick word now with Humanishan. Just to, what does he say to him? Son,
Get me on strike.
just slap it.
Yeah, I think this will be get me on strike. I think this is Diminution saying, give me the last 2 balls, because if I can find the pens twice, we get to that 190. So this will be just bat and ball. I'm going to run here. He goes, well, never mind. He's throwing his hands at it. They've lost in the field. It should be taken. Is taken by, for me, one of the fielders of the tournament. Ryan Rickleton gets underneath it. We assume it's a solid catch because it looked pretty catch by the time the cameraman did manage to pick him up. I'm not sure that was what Nishan would have been telling him to have done. And it's just back of it.
Yeah, that was just a wild throw, wasn't it, really?
Straight up, and Ryan Rickleton, I mean, that's safe as houses. Safe as houses.
Yeah. No, he's not dropping that anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing that classic, the sun was a bit tricky, but I mean, he had that all the way, and he's put in a bit of a masterclass fielding, really, for Ryan Rickleton so far this innings.
Yeah, it is. I think it is a bit of an underappreciated bit of his game in a way.
Well,
he's a very able fielder.
So it's like
but when he's not behind the stumps, he really is. He's really capable.
Well, it's funny because they asked him after the first, why is Grant Wilson keeping? Is he the better keeper? And he said no. He says he doesn't think there's much in the keeping. He says that he's the better fielder. And
well, there we are.
Hard to argue.
No. Based on what we've seen today, anyway, Adil Rashid comes in to face the last 2 deliveries. Let's see what he can do with the first.
Yeah, I'll just get off.
Just get off strike.
Yeah, and Jimmy Nishan saying no, take a single. Yeah, so 181, 185 could be on the cards. 187 is a best case scenario for the Pretoria Capitals, which I think, to be fair, as I said, at the beginning of the innings, they would have taken that. So I do think it's a very competitive total. 180, you got to bat well. 187, I think, there's just more like sort of mental things. So 180 that's what everybody said would have been a good score. So they've got to that 180. I mean, Vernon Fernando was saying 160, so they're well above that.
Yeah, look, I mean, Vern certainly knows how to read a pitch, as we've seen over his years. Let's see, last ball, big swing, big miss. Is it right up? No,
they scampered through for a single. So 182 is where they'll finish. Jimanisha 22 of 17, not a bad knock, not a great knock to his standards. I think they'll be happy with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they will. I think, they'll probably be sitting there saying, shit, we really should have pushed on after that power play. But obviously that wasn't to be. So nonetheless, they had to settle. But at one point, they weren't looking too good when they were 4 wickets down. Things did look like they were slowing down a bit more than they would have liked. So the fact that they kind of brought things back a bit with a little bit more impetus, nice knock there for Tennis to Brain, kind of just pushing things along, which is what they needed. I think it kind of revived the innings just a little bit. Otherwise, at one point you and I were saying, you're saying 170 is probably not, far off the ballpark. And I think that Tennis to Brain knock, he just kind of accelerated towards the end there. Obviously, Jimmy Nishan not going along at as fast as we've known he can do with his 22 of 18 not out. But nonetheless, it is what it is. 182 was what they reached in the end. So 183 runs. And any final thoughts?
I think it's a good chase. I think it's well set up. I think it's a chase we can have to bat well. It's not 10 and over, but it's literally about just over 9. So you can, again, a good power play sets up quite comfortably. A bad power play means you have to have a really good finish. So I think it's been very nicely set. A couple of nice knocks there. I think Clive Fortain will be frustrated that he doesn't take his opportunity. Riley Rousseau's really poor form does continue, which is a bit of a worry. The CMI Cape Town batting lineup is very deep, though, so I think any good start to any good start to the innings will put them in the perfect place. But yeah, let's see what happens. We are going to be taking a break. We'll be back with you, and hopefully we'll have a wild Ross to bring in quite soon as well. But yeah, the final score: Pretoria Capital 182 for 8 after 20. We'll be back in about 10 minutes for the second innings. Right, welcome back to the SA20 in my Cape Town, chasing 183 down in Newlands. And Ethan Bosch opening the bowling as expected, been very good with the new ball. He goes to Devil Brevis. Devil Brevis, I think that's a bit of a sign of intent there, Matt. What do you think?
I'd say so. I mean, that's a wild flash at it, but there was a bit of movement there on offer from Ethan Bosch, I thought, eh?
I'm impressed even with Ethan Bosch because I think he's had a great tournament.
He's had such a great tournament. You know, I mean, he's surrounded by a bunch of big name players. He really is. So, you know, people, I suppose, you know, maybe at first, maybe the international audience who haven't a chance to watch him would kind of go, okay, well, he just seems to be the one who makes up the numbers. But he really hasn't made up the numbers. He's been one of the most outstanding bowlers. That economy, okay, as we see him absolutely send one wide down the leg side.
The Forever Sports commentary team does it again.
Yeah, once again, we look like a bunch of tits. But yeah, no, he really has. He's looked very good. His economy rates over the last couple of matches, at least that I've watched him in, has been absolutely phenomenal. He's been a bit of a surprise for me, I must say. I'm one of those in the surprised camp.
Yeah, look, I think I've watched him a reasonable amount in sort of domestically and stuff like that. I'm very impressed with him. I think that he is one of the very. I think there's a couple of players, you know, sort of. I mean, obviously there are lots of young and exciting players, and there's players, for example, like a Devil Brevis, who you know is very much international quality, and then there are players like, you know, players who are exciting, and you're sort of going, will they, can they take the next step? Can they really sort of be that international player? I think Ethan Bosch falls into that category. I think he's got the talent, the skills to be an international player. The question is, can he really sort of kick on? He's 27 years old. He's been around the block, but I think the last couple of years he's starting to sort of really come into his own a bit.
Yeah, he has. He's one of those bowlers, actually in a way almost a bit like a Wayne Parnell, whose game has matured with him. But nonetheless, here he comes. And it's not a bad ball at all. Just pushed away. Another dot ball. So, I mean, it hasn't been a bad over for him. 2 from it so far. And that counts, that's including the 1 wide that he bowled. Still 2 balls to come from it. What do you reckon? Do you reckon Brevis and Rickleton here just kind of have a bit of a feel for the first ball and then really let loose, or is there no time for that?
I mean, it's Devil Brevis. I think he knows one way to play it. For example, Ryan Rickleton, I think, will be a bit more respectful. But yeah, like at the end of the day, we saw what Pretoria Capitals did in the power play, and I think you do need to try and do a decent amount in the power play to try and set the chase up. You don't want to fall. I mean, it's okay falling behind the rate, but you don't want to fall too far behind the rate. You know, so I do think that you got to try and get stuck in relatively early. And Ryan Rickleton, there it is, and that's perfect.
Oh, that's
no
nice. That's a lovely
going to run all the way. Just takes a little bit of a skip down the track, and he punched it out there for 4. The only other runs were a wide, which they managed to run through. So they're going for 6. Not a bad start, and yeah, I'll bring Devil Brevis on to strike. I'll be interested to see who they go on the other end, because I think Devil Brevis loves spin, so I don't think they'll look to bring on spin, for example.
It's going to be interesting to see the way he plays. I'm fascinated to see the way he approaches this now. Now he's on strike, so theoretically he's got 6 balls to face now. You know, he hasn't had the tournament that certainly he, and I think pretty much all of us, were hoping that he was all set to have. You know, the pressure's on, but now he's on a track, as we said just now, that does look like it's not a bad batting track.
No. And
does he just go with it now, or does he just maybe let a little bit of that pressure get to him and let him try and bat himself? Then I see Wayne Parnell's going to be the man to bowl from the other end now.
Yeah, and I think Parnell's been really good in the power play. He's been really good with the ball, actually. I think he's had a bit of a coming of age as a T20 bowler, but that is a sign of a 10.
Wow.
Devil Brevis, no respect, slaps him over the top and goes very straight for start. That's the perfect start to the over, and I think again, Devil Brevis has many ways been criticized maybe for not looking to get himself in, but look, at the end of the day, that's the way you play. That's the way you play. And whilst maybe he'll start to understand his game a bit better.
That's a phenomenal shot, though. Either way, that is a phenomenal shot. That doesn't matter if that's your third delivery like that was, or if it's your 33rd delivery. That is a great shot.
Now goes wide and does flash it. It'll just be the dot though. Yeah, I think he knows. I think he knows one way to play, and he's gonna play it. And at the end of the day, it's easy to criticize him when it doesn't come off, but if it comes off more often than not, batting and cricket is a game where unfortunately you fail more than you succeed, which a lot of people don't respect enough. I think that sort of concept.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is true. It is true. But I mean, I think his game's got a lot of maturing to do. There's no doubting the bundles and bundles of raw talent on offer. As we see him just punching that one away for a single. I think it's a case of we forget that he's very, very young.
And a teenager, bloody hell.
Exactly. I mean, the man's barely voting or drinking beer.
Well, he's never voted.
No.
And one likes to think maybe he might have had his first beer last year. I mean, I don't think that's probably the case, knowing South Africans, but...
Oh, no, I'm sure he had his first beer at 12. But there we are. He's really such a talent, but I think, as you say, he knows one way to bat. And I think as time goes by, he's going to learn that there are more ways to bat. I think playing alongside a Rickleton, who's on strike now, can only be good for him.
I'll tell you what, Ryan Richardson's coming with a couple of poor knocks. So I think he'll also be wanting to get in and prove points. I don't think he's got any points to prove anymore. But he is supposed to be one of the top batsmen, and I think he needs to show that in this knock itself. And hopefully, it's a great opportunity for him to do that.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think we can. I want to believe that we can expect something from at least one of these two gents tonight, as we see that one punch just straight to the kind of mid-off region. No run off that one. So thus far, it's not been a bad over from Wayne Parnell. I mean, he's recovered well after that first opening boundary that was brutal from young Devil Brevis. Dot so far 5 off his first over. I imagine he'll be reasonably happy with how it's gone so far, but of course, it does remain to be seen just what happens here in this last delivery. Let's see how this one goes.
Yeah, I think Rickleton will be looking to be aggressive. I think he'll be looking for the boundary in this ball. He'll drop it short and he'll run to Camper for the single. So 6 off that over. They're currently 12 off the first 2. They've now both had a look. They're 7 balls, 5 balls. Yeah, look, it's a difficult one because when you're chasing a big target, wickets in hand are a thing. There's no doubt about it. But you do want to try and get stuck into a large chunk of this chase. If we're looking at it, and you can see it on the screen, 171 and 108 balls is a big ask. So try and knock down. For example, I was playing yesterday and we were chasing 246, and I was playing with a young 18-year-old. We played an absolute blind. He scored 151 of the 247 runs we scored. And the big thing we said is let's get that number to below 100. When your middle order to low order comes in, get that below 100 from a mental point of view. That's a massive thing. So these two go put on an 83-run partnership. Their job is more than done. You then really expect to see that middle to low order be able to knock off the rest.
As we see,
and that's in the gap.
So playing that one nicely, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just wait for it and paddle and just sort of pulls it down the leg side. Big gaps there, power play. And this is the thing, there's so many gaps in the power play. There's 2 different approaches. Obviously, you can go big and you can look to clear the boundary, but there's so many gaps in the field. There always been gaps in the field, and if you can find players who can manipulate the ball around to where those gaps are, you've got to think it's not the best delivery. I think there was a deep square, but not really short enough, and it was easy for Rickleton just to wait for it. And there he goes. It goes over the top. It should be safe. There's nobody out there. It'll be over the top with the head of Wayne Parnell. They should get back for the second as well.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about that. I thought that was going to go to the man middle. But as we say, just kind of clearing it there. He didn't get all of it.
No.
Did Rickleton.
But again, during the power play, you talk about gaps. A gap you can exploit is the ring. go over the top. You didn't get all of that, but you didn't have to get all of that because the field was in the ring. So it's not a risky shot unless you really don't connect it at all and you end up chipping it.
Oof, that one's well fielded there by Ethan Bosch himself. So that will be a dart ball, meaning so far 6 of the first 3 deliveries. I mean, Rickleton's on 11 now. He's faced 10 balls. Brevis is 5 from 5. They're halfway through the third over. They've got 18 runs on the board. It does feel like this is already time to start getting a move on, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, 18 from this good start to 6 from it, 18 for none off to 2.3. Again, they must have a target in mind in the power play, and for me, it must be a minimum of 50, maybe 60. I think anything below that is a poor power play. Oh dear, it's got straight up in the air. Somebody gonna be able to get there. It does get there. Rickleton goes. His struggles continue. He had such a nice start to the tournament, but really struggling now. Ethan Bosch, the man, once again with the ball. That's getting the job done.
My goodness me, this guy has been. He's been truly excellent. He really has. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that he's 27, as you said, if he was 23 right now, you have to say Approach's call-up couldn't be that far away, which is impressive when you consider the Approach's lineup that we've got with the ball in hand.
Yeah, look, I'll tell you what. I think one could be on the cards. To be honest, I think if he can bring this, he's been one of the more impressive players in the domestic circuit the last year. He's now starting to do it in a big, in a big tournament, for example, with some big players and big names. This is one of those tournaments. Sam Curran coming in.
I don't know about this.
No, this is not a good moment. I'm not sure about that either. Listen, the Cape Town fans are leaving a lot to be desired, if we're being brutally honest.
Certainly their dance moves are.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to call it dancing, to be honest, but...
Okay, whatever that convulsion was that we watched right there, right now.
Words with parents must be had, but...
I would say so, yeah. Look, there we see another auntie doing her thing.
Conservative is not a bad way to go, given what we saw.
But a good crowd, eh? A really good crowd.
Another good crowd, I think, is the most important thing. Another good crowd is the fact that we have had such good crowds. The final's been sold out, by the way. A lot of friends very upset about that fact. They didn't get tickets, and that looks a really good crowd. I'm really impressed with the crowds, and the ODI series in Bloem and Kimberley's a bit frustrating almost. But you look like you're doing a line there. A little Diego Maradona moment there. Like, just do you mind?
No, actually, what happened was I dropped my phone.
I'm definitely clipping that because that looked brilliant.
Oh, let's check that out. Great stuff.
Right. Anyway, back to the cricket.
Oh, that's good. Back to the cricket, as you say. So, no Ryan Rickleton, as we see the replay of him walking off looking very dejected and despondent. Sam Curran,
the pinch hitter.
I don't want him there at number 3.
Yeah, the pinch hitter. They send him up there for the aggression. DL Brevis there just works it off his hip. Have a bit of a shot at the stump here. 24-1. Good start, just must be said. They're halfway through the power play. I would say they're about 10 to 12 runs behind where they'd like to be. Most importantly, the wicket of Ryan Rook is an important one. You could just see he just gets completely wrong. It's through the shot too early. I think it was a bit of a slow ball. It was strange because he's fired it in short outside off, and I think Ryan Rookerson's played a premeditated shot where he wanted to kind of probably just tuck it into the leg side, and by the end of it gets the line completely wrong. And I think if he hadn't premeditated, that probably he could have looked for the ramp. He could have looked to just play it down to third man, but just So it's well bowled by Ethan Bosch. He's gone 1 for 14, but 2 going for 7 and over. It's a nice start. Very different start to the power plays, but now Dale Brevis on strike. Will it be Wayne Parnell once again? One would imagine it would. And I think he's going to look to be aggressive. Yeah, he's 5 off 6.
Yeah, I think so.
In
but no, this is actually one of my
issues. 41 for 0. Yep.
You got Devil Brevis at the crease. Why are you bringing Sam Curran in at 3? Now what? So now we see Brevis pull that one away to the boundary, but not to the boundary. So he goes for a single, brings Sam Curran on. If you've got a Brevis at the crease, I feel like you should be replacing him with a like for like, and replacing Rickleton with a like for like. I don't believe that it's the right decision to be bringing Sam Curran this high up the crease. I really don't. I'm sorry. I think bring a Grant Wilson, bring even a Rassie van der Dussen in rather. And he's a middle order batter.
Yeah, I think the main thing is to attack this power play. Is to Sam Curran's got that power hitting ability. Let him try and use it in the power play, and because again, if you can get to 50, 60, 70 in the power play, Rassie van der Dussen, Grant Wilson have got the time, especially Rassie van der Dussen, who likes to play himself in. But in terms of somebody who wants to exploit the power play, that's I think probably the thinking. I think they've really missed Liam Livingston, who I think would be they would have loved to have him walking him out of 3, if not even open at the top of the order. So
yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, to me, this is similar to why don't you just bring in Odin Smith then? In that sense, like honestly, it's I don't rate Sam Curran that highly as a batter.
Most expensive IPL player ever. This is what we've got at the crease here. He gives himself room and finds cover here. Getting a bit bogged down here on the MI Cape Town. We looked at the comparison and the Pretoria Caps were 41 for none after 3 overs, and they went on to score 82. So they literally doubled their runs after 3 over mark. We're now 3.3. We're now well into the power play, almost at 4, well past the halfway mark, and MI Cape Town 21 for 1. It's amazing. It's amazing how that you look at the target, for example, and 162 from 99. It's that run rate can get very high very quickly if you don't be careful.
No, absolutely, it is. It's starting to drop down a bit horribly for them. And again, we see another dot ball. It's actually turning out to be a very good over so far from Wayne Parnell. I mean, he's only gone for 7 across his 1.4 overs. That's why he's had a single and then 3 dots in a row. With Sam Curran there on 1 or 4, who looks like he's kind of struggling to get away with it. Neville Brevis certainly hasn't had the connections that we've seen. I mean, we've seen one nice boundary, and then he's had a couple of singles apart from that, if I'm not wrong. Or I'm not sure if it's a 1 or 1s or 2s, but he hasn't looked explosive, has he?
No, I think this has been really good over from Wayne Parnell. He's really bowling a very consistent length, very consistent line. Sam Curran does give himself a bit of space. He goes over the top. This should run away. And the first time that we've seen Wayne Parnell actually deviate from that pretty consistent sort of off-stump line. Sam Curran's given him all the space in the world, and he's gone over the top. But much needed boundary. Still not a bad over, just 5 from it. Sort of trying to fire into the body, and Sam Curran's given himself all the space, just throw his hands over the top. It's actually well played in the end. And important to finish well here from Parnell, because it was a good over, still a good over. If Sam Curran finds consecutive boundaries, then it's much more what MI Cape Town will be looking to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, last ball of the over as things stand.
Fires and short. Has he missed it? Has he missed it? He was asking the question. I think bat is the only thing that's saving him here.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a little bit of back pad in that one.
And he's going upstairs. He's going upstairs. He wants him. He wants him. He's having. Yeah, he immediately went to Kusal Mendes' keeper and said, "I reckon he's gone." I think it's only bat that could save Sam Curran. I think he's fired in. Maybe going down leg, but I think it looked pretty good, to be honest. I think it'll be bad.
No, I agree. I agree fully.
That's the big one.
Yeah, well, let's have a look. I mean, obviously, as we say, Wayne Parnell immediately, he barely had a chat with Kusal Mendes. It was more just a case of, by the way, this is what I'm going to do, my son. And let's see. So we're looking at the replay now. So pitching in the line. I tell you what.
I think he's in trouble here. I thought that Sam Curran might have had a bit of bat. It looks like there's no bat whatsoever. He's very deep inside his crease. Oh, it does do a lot.
It might be going down the leg. Let's have a look. It might be going down the leg. Let's have a look. We're having a look at ultra edge now.
Lots of gap between.
There's clear distance between bat and pad. Clear distance between bat and pad. In fact, it hits both stumps. Both pads, so that you can see it connecting the first one. And that'll be interesting,
the fact that it does impact the first one, because that's obviously where they'll read the line from. And interesting is that this is taking a deflection off the front pad to the back pad.
That might change. He's going to be safe. It's going to go down the leg.
Yeah, see, I think the biggest issue is initially I thought that it was just into the back pad. The fact that there was a bit of an edge off the front pad is what saved him. So yeah, it was going well down leg in the end. That's probably what would have done Wayne Parnell, because he saw Sam Curran's back pad being hit very deep in the crease, and you couldn't see leg stump. No, worth going up. At the end of the day, it would have been a big wicket. But 25 for 1. The good news is we do have another presenter as well. So, Matt, I'm going to let you go for a bit. And
that is great news for the viewers.
It is good news. And at the end of the day, this guy's been stealing a living for a while, so it'll be good to bring him in and actually get him to do some work. So Matt, I will see you in 4 overs. Well, I won't see you in 4 overs. Ross will see you in 4 overs. Then I'm going to get a break. But
Fair enough.
we'll see you in a
Fair
bit.
enough. Cool.
Right, welcome back. And as you can see, Roscoe has joined me for what we're hoping is going to be a hostile, fast, and fierce spell from Nokia. Ross, are you well?
I'm all good, thanks to yourself, Steve.
Yeah, look, I mean, the body feels like I've done 10 rounds with Muhammad Ali after yesterday's cricket, so not as young as I once was. But apart from that, what can you do? What can you do?
Yeah, but it was a good day for us out anyway.
Yeah, Roscoe had a bit of a SA20 audition yesterday, a nice little knock. Stephen playing more sort of the test match audition, which I think is probably more needed in this country. We need more Steves out there with nice gritty 18, I think it was in the end. But right, Roscoe, 25 for 1. Emma Cape Town, not the best start. Now you've got the fast bowler in the world coming in. What do Emma Cape Town do?
I think they've got to look to attack him. They can't let him settle in early, because if he settles in and gets into a routine, he's not gonna go for much, and it'll set MI Cape Town even further back, because they would have been looking to get a much faster start to the power play than they have.
Right, now Matt Young is very much not in the Sam Curran at 3 church. What do you make of sending Sam Curran up front and early on?
I have to agree with Matt. I don't think it's the best decision they should have made. But if it comes off, it'll come off well for them. I mean, if Curran can get himself in and get a fast start, I think him and Brevis can cause a lot of destruction together.
No, it's a nice ball there from Nokia. Seems to be taking off on a landing speed, 147 kilometers per hour. I mean, a week ago, I think it was, maybe even 2 weeks ago, I sat there on a stream with Dan Scholes, and we talked about how much money we'd have to be paid to face a Nokia spell. And mine was very much in the 6 figures and probably even the 7 figures margin. How much money would we have to pay you to go face Nokia?
Yeah, around about the same amount of money. There's no ways I'm putting myself in the firing line of that for free.
Okay, let's go to the third one. I think pace off then, and Sam Curran be bogged down a little bit here. 5 of 8, River 7 of 9. Really slow start this for MI Cape Town. They're 26 for 1, chasing 182. If we look at the equation, the required run rate is sitting at 10.1. The current run rate 5.7. Yeah, I mean, you've got to think they're going to have to really go for that last over of the power play. They're going to have to be quite aggressive.
Yeah, they have to, because at this moment, it's, as you were saying earlier, it's okay to slip behind the rate, but this far behind the rate is not going to do them any favors.
Right, well,
especially if...
Yeah, I don't think just banging in short there. So you're saying?
Especially if Pretoria Capitals can pick up another wicket in the next over or so, I think Mumbai could be in serious trouble.
Well-directed bounce there, Brandon Kid. Not as fastest, and this is, I mean, he's just bowling superbly. Not even just about the pace, the control, the accuracy. I mean, he's been on a whole different level this tournament.
Yeah, and when this guy's on song, he's up there with some of the best bowlers in the world.
Yeah, 100%. And the moustache there is that's the highlight of the year, really. Goes short once again, and Sam Curran happy to duck underneath it. Hostile for Mount Nokia. And it's just the 1 run off the over. Emma Caden, 26 for 1 after 5. That big target, 157 from 90 balls. That run rate creeping up to 10.35 now.
Steve, do you reckon you could play a ramp shot off that bouncer?
Correct. You just get into the line, you wait for it, and you just... I'd actually probably more look to switch at him. I don't think they'd have a sweeper out, so I reckon there'd be a lot of space out on that offside. Just turn it on, reverse the grip, and just pick him up and go over the top there. Probably what I'd be looking to do.
Use the pace of the ball to get it to the boundary.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I'll probably have to hit quite hard because, for me, 148, it's pretty comfortable at the end of the day.
Yeah, standard.
Right, Ethan Bosch comes into his third over. He's bowled 1 for 13 so far. Last ball of the power play. Straight, and Brevis has picked him up, but I think there is protection out there. No, it's not going to get there. It does find the boundary. Long overdue.
That'll help them, but they need 5 more of those.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have to attack this over because last over the power play, it becomes very easy for Pretoria Capitals to slow things down after this. They can bring in Adil Rashid, who is world class. They can bring in Mutasami. They can really take pace off the ball and try and sort of get Cape Town into a bit of a hole. So important, I think, to be really aggressive this over.
Yeah, agreed.
Goes wide, slaps him through the
Wide,
covers. I mean, that's
slap.
another good one. It's back-to-back boundaries here for Deval Brevis.
Picked up. And I think Brevis needs an innings where he makes a big contribution.
Yeah, I think he's under a bit of pressure at the moment, which is probably not fair for a player of his age, but a player of his talent will always bring that. And
Come under fire, yeah.
couple of failures, and just how how important for him is to be able to. You will have failures, but he's got to try and produce every now and again, just to remind everybody of how good he really is.
Good he is, yeah. Just get a single there.
All right, so Sam Curran to strike 9 off the first 3 balls. Much better start. Three balls left. I mean, I suppose, they'll probably be where they were in this over. If they can get up to 42, 43, it wouldn't be bad. But probably about 30, 20, at least about 20 to 30 runs short right now where they'd like to be after the power play.
Yeah, 43 wouldn't be bad, but
Right, we just lost you for a moment there, and you're back. So you're saying 43 won't be bad, but
I think that it'll be quite a long way short of where they were expecting themselves to be in the power play.
I think that the issues. I think you got a Rassi Fernandez, for example. He starts a bit as like a bit of an accumulator. It takes a while to get going. Third ball, and Sam Curran comes to the party and says, "Thank you very much." He's sent him over that Kyle corner boundary. Ethan Bosch, who's had a brilliant start to the innings, has now been dispatched by Sam Curran. They moved to 41 for 1. We said how they had to go big in this over, and 15 from the first 5 balls is a pretty good way to do that.
Balls. Yeah, that was a cricket shot there.
Yeah, I'll try to sort of bring in that cutter, rolls his fingers over the ball. Sam Curran picks it up very early. Oh, it's gone down. It's gone down.
Cash money.
Right, just a single there. So 16 from the 5 balls. Last ball of the power play. A boundary here and 46 for 1. I suppose wouldn't be the worst effort. Not quite what they anticipated, but this has been a nice over. Very much needed a release here. And then I suppose it's sort of restarting, once the power play is done, or do you think it's a case of these two will now feel they are the aggressors, they are the players that like to bat a bit quicker? Do you think these two need to continue trying to up that strike rate so that when Rashford and Dustin and Grant Willis are coming in, they're playing more of a steady role?
Yeah, I think these two need. Oh, what a ball!
Top ball to finish.
I think these two need to carry on and aggress now because, as you said, Rassi likes to come in, see a couple, get himself in, and then start going. And if these two slow down a bit and Rassi comes in with 10 overs to go and they need 120 odd, Mumbai could be in a bit of trouble. So I think Brevis and Curry need to go as quickly as they can.
Yeah, I think the important thing is that Emma Captain have got batting, plenty of it. They've got Rassi Fernandez, who's one of the probably premier white ball batsman at the moment. They've got Wilson, who's in very good nick. They've got George Lind, who's a fantastic finisher. They've got Delano Porky to hit a long ball. Odie Smith knows how to bat. Rashid Khan can bat. Jofra Archer, everyone in this team can hold a bat. So they've got plenty of batting ahead of them. Yeah. Which I suppose gives them a bit of license. They don't need to worry about, having really wickets in hands. They can afford to be quite aggressive.
Yeah.
But plenty of display on display at the SA20 throughout the tournament. Anok Nokia will come in for his second over. He went for just 1 in the first. Let's see what he has. He goes to Sam Curran. He's 12 off 12. Bangs it on the length. Sam Curran happy to just defend it. At the end of the day, we probably have to attribute Anok Nokia's revolution to the moustache, don't we?
Yeah, agreed. Because that's some serious moustache.
Yeah, look, I'm halfway there. I'm just going to sort of grow it all out and make sure my fire breaks are sorted, and then we'll join it. By the time we come to next season, October when the 2023-24 season starts, you see rockets from Steve Hughes over here.
Stevie P. Get the speeder out because Stevie's coming.
Yeah, and then banging and sure, Raz Nokia does. And Curran trying to look a bit inventive. They do scamper through for the single. Yeah, interesting. I mean, look, it's a good option, to be honest, to get across the line, try and go over the top, because with that pace, anything's going to go for a boundary.
Yeah, as soon as it comes off the bat and gets past the keeper, it's 4.
Right, so sitting here and we're looking at 43 for 1 after 6.2 overs. Total of 183. Anna Nokia goes to Dale Brevis now. And this is what this tournament is all about, don't you think? You know, just one of the fastest, probably the fastest bowler in the world, going to one of the widest talents in the world.
This is going to be.
Oh, let me give you a man
my
out there.
days.
Oh, he's missed it.
Oh, he's put it down. Did he get to that? I think he might have got to that.
What, I mean, how's that for a shot? I mean, you try to get underneath it, and at the end of the day, just kind of flicked it. Sort of 153, by the way.
You see, I'm not going anywhere near this delivery.
Yeah, he struggled with the high with the short ball, and that's something that a lot of analysts have picked up, that he doesn't like the short ball. 153 short balls, probably quite up there in terms of things I definitely wouldn't like.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and very little control, I think, in the end from that shot.
Gets a bit lucky there with it not carrying all the way.
Right, Sam Curran, who'll be a bit more accustomed to this type of pace. And he says, "Thank you very much, big sub. I don't think there's a player in the gap there."
4 runs.
A bit slow, 134, and Sam Curran onto it like a flash, goes over the top. Sam Curran moves himself onto 17 or 15, and Nokia concedes his first boundary of the innings. And I think you're right earlier in terms of you've got to go after him a little bit. He's going to be hostile, it's a bit like a Rashid Khan. You're playing good against a bowler, but you can't let him settle. You've got to go try and get him off his game.
Yeah, because as soon as he settles, I think he's very much a bowler who can see that he's in control, and once he's in control, he decides what happens. So if you can go after him a little bit and unsettle him, and maybe put him off his rhythm a little bit, you've got a chance.
Yeah, Riley Rousseau is trying to look for the run out there, and Riley Rousseau not having a good tournament. Do you think he keeps his position? I mean, we're going into a break now, so I suppose an opportunity for him to try and really sort a few things out in the net. But do you see him being back in the team when the break's done?
I think they'll keep him in the team. Whether he should stay in the team, I'm not sure, because he's had I think this is 7 games now.
Yeah, around about.
And he hasn't put on the performance that anybody was expecting from him.
And Nokia to his last ball of his second over, going to Brevis. I reckon this will be short, and Brevis is happy to watch it.
Leave that one.
Yeah, and Nokia, I think it's a nice smile there. 49 for 1 after 7. The run rate creeping up, which I think is a bit of a problem. Up to, well, I suppose 10.17. So hitting around there. They have accelerated a little bit. Current run rate 7.17. I suppose the important thing now is to almost keep it at 7, 8 and over for the next sort of 4.
Yeah, because I think if they can keep it there, by the time they get to 5, 6, 7 overs left, they're still in a good position to then accelerate seriously.
Right, so Adil Rashid, spin does come into the attack, and this will be an interesting moment because Brevis loves to spin. And if he can get going, I think that he'll I mean, yeah, look at Adil Rashid, one of the best spinners in the world. But some current teammates will know a lot about Adil Rashid, so he'll back himself, and Dale Brevis is someone who really enjoys spins. So in this spin so far, he's taken 7 wickets a wicket per game, an average 27, economy of 8.47. He's got a best of 2 for 25 so far in this tournament. Adil Rashid. He will be going to Sam Curran, and again, I suppose Sam Curran, especially with the leg, you got to go after them early.
Yeah, same thing. You can't let them settle. You've got to, and I think Brevis and Curran may have had a discussion out there on who they are going to attack, and I think Rashid might be up there on who they're looking to attack.
Yeah, I think leg's been it's a good pitch as well. We did see Rashid can't bowl, but Adil Rashid not necessarily bowling as quickly. Short, and Sam Curran pulls him out there. A little bit of the gap as well. We'll find a boundary, and that's the perfect start to a leg. The perfect start to Rashid. See, 89 kilometers per hour. It's slower than Rashid Khan, so if you got a little bit more time, you will play turn it a bit more. But on such a good day.
But you've got that. You've got that extra bit of time to see it and pick it up.
Yeah, it's well played by Sam Curran. He just rocks back, waits for it, and just hammers it into the gap.
Very good shot.
A good start to the over. That's the boundary that you want. You can find another boundary, and that's pretty much what you want to eat every single over. Nice little clash here, though, between the two teammates who are both in the ODI squad to face South Africa later this week. Now it's a bit short. Straight down, spins wide as well. Will be a wide.
Wide.
Not a good start for Rashid under pressure here.
Yeah, and I mean, after this start, if Curran can get 2 more boundaries this over, it'll help the momentum, I think, for them in Cape Town.
Whoa, he's bowled him! He's bowled him through the gate!
Him.
Middle stump goes crashing. What a delivery. We spoke about the fact that he's not as quick, but he'll have a lot more turn, and he's absolutely done, Sam Curran there. Goodness me. I mean, it looked like it was going to be outside off stump, and it's come back an absolute mile.
That is one insane delivery, that.
I mean, that's just... I mean, Sam Curran looks at the hands on the
hip. Sam Curran can't even believe it.
And fair. Well off, almost a fourth, fifth stump line even, pitching, and it just drags back and it crashes into the middle
out the middle stump.
And that's Adil Rashid. He's one of the best.
Yeah. So Adil Rashid comes out on top in the battle of the teammates.
Yeah, so a bit of when they link up, I'm sure the England squad's already here, so I'm sure those two will be in the England camp by tomorrow. I think a bit of a right smile on his face. But here comes a man who you want in a chase. So someone who can really control the tempo. Rassie van der Dussen, how important is he to this chase?
Extremely. I think he's got a really good head on him, as well as the ability to carry them a long way into the chase.
Right, in at 4. So Rassie van der Dussen, South Africa's premier ODI player at the moment. He's got an average of 26, strike rate of 107. He's been criticised for sometimes batting too slowly. He's a player who likes to get himself in and then catches up. He's played some pretty telling knocks in the past for the national side. Sometimes, it's one of those players, isn't he, where when it comes off, when he can catches up, it's no issue. But if he can sometimes bat himself into a hole, and if he gets the wicket, then he's kind of almost bat his team into a hole.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where he can't afford to do that here. Being 7 overs into the game, slightly behind the run rates, I think he's still got time to bat himself in, but he needs to do it quicker than maybe he would want to.
Rashid and drags it down, and Rasmus just pulls it out to the deep square. There gets Dale Brevis onto strikes. So far this over is 6 runs, but importantly the wicket of Sam Curran, MIK time 55 for 2. And then look at this wicket, which just absolutely, he comes back a mile, top of middle. And Sam Curran's reaction, I think, says it all.
Unbelievable ball, that.
So halfway through the over here, Dale Brevis now is really interesting to see what the tactic is here. He likes to attack. He's not going to be one that's going to nudge it around. So I think we'll be interested to see if he gives himself space immediately and just sort of punches him back. But interesting to see immediately try and do something different.
Yeah, and I think Brevis will look to go after him. But I think he's got to be careful after seeing how much that ball that got Curran turned.
Yeah, I think that's why I gave him a lot of space. He gives himself space to play for the turn if there is. And that one, he goes over the top. I don't think he's got all of it.
Gone a bit high.
Oh, he's just gone enough. It's just gone over enough. I think he knows that it wasn't quite out of the middle. Almost in trouble, but the main thing is he has cleared the boundary. Again, looks to be very aggressive, and does send Adil Rashid for 6. It's been an expensive over. It's been 11 from it. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, right out the toe, really, must be said.
Still going a long way out of the toe.
Yeah.
And I think even though Rashid picked up this wicket there, I think that's the over that they needed.
Well, it's almost stops with short. As you know, there, Japers me. That is a cricket shot. I mean, that ball looked like it was staying low, and he's just picked it up beautifully. Back-to-back 6s. Again, the wicket in the over, but 18 runs. Look how this... Yeah, you can see, even with the way he plays it, it does keep it low. What a shot that is. Oh, it's got straight through. Oh, shame he's landed.
He squashed a couple of people.
I think he squashed a kid here. Oh no, he's murdered a kid. He's murdered a kid. Oh no. Goodness me. I'm glad they arrived because that man could have been in a world of... That would have been me, to be fair. 2 million rand on... Hey, listen, the kids don't matter here, chaps. Kids don't matter.
100%.
Oh, these poor kids. Oh my word, there's beer all over him. Well, I hope that he's with. I hope he's there. I hope the kids are there with him because if I was a parent, I wouldn't be impressed. But that is the end of the 8th over, which means that we are going to swap on. We're waiting for Matt to make a reappearance. So I'm hoping a wild Matt will pop up at some point. Once again, there he and on cue, there he is. So I'll take a bit of a break, and you guys can talk about the fact that in the attempt to try and catch 2 million, a man has almost murdered a child. We'll see you in a bit.
Got Jimmy Neesham into the attack, replacing Nokia.
Well, welcome back to what's been a bit of a topsy-turvy start to the evening for MI Cape Town. We saw them kind of getting off to a decent start. Then the wicket of Rickleton going and kind of slowing down a little bit. Sam Curran looked good for his 3 fours and his 6, but going for 22. Now we see Jim Neesham into the attack with Rassie van der Dussen at the crease. And a young Dewald Brevis who really has exploded big time over the last couple of balls of that last over. Really taking them to town and increasing it. So one man who was there and watched it all was my co-commentator. Welcome, Ross. Thank you. I'm glad to be here with you. What have you made so far of it?
It's been a good game so far. I think MI Cape Town are slowly. Well, that last over specifically has helped them a lot. And Steve and I were saying that over was important because they didn't let Rashid settle. And I think that's going to be maybe a turning point in this innings.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you. They did start to look like they were getting into a bit of a hole of it. And I was sitting here, I was watching along, even though I wasn't on comms with you guys. I was thinking, geez, they do need to get a bit of a move on here if they needed to. I mean, I think there was 82 runs in the power play alone from the Pretoria Capitals, and they're still on 68. So they're not out of the woods, are they?
No, definitely not. And I think Brevis, he's starting to go for it, but I think he needs to continue. And I think he needs Rassie to go with him.
Yeah, no, look, Rassie, as we know, a man who tends to bat himself in a little bit. He does pick it up over the edge, but let's see now. 4th ball of the over from Jimmy Neesham to Dewald Brevis, who just plays a nice corner there down the leg side. Just gets himself off strike. It does move him, by the way, onto 50 runs with 19 deliveries. So again, I mean, he was kind of also looking a little bit start-stop in the beginning. But it just does go to show, that when you have like a Dewald Brevis at the crease, who obviously we know his talent, if he gets in, yes, sure, they might be a little bit behind the required rate here, but it's still within reach.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen what Brevis can do in the past, not only in the SA20, but in our one-day cup here, that 100, I think it was 160 odd or 50 or 60 balls.
Yeah,
and if he gets himself in and does something like that, this is definitely in reach for him.
Well, let's see. I mean, we do see an outstanding delivery there from Jimmy Neesham. That kind of seams in a decent amount, goes between bat, pad, everything. Just goes over the stumps, but it does show that there's a little bit of movement on offer here. Now, I'll tell you, we were looking at it a little earlier on, and we were saying, okay, this appears to be big time, just a batting crease. Let's have a look. Last ball of the over, and then we can discuss that. That one just punched away through the offside down to middle. They'll just take a single from that one. Will van der Dussen. So we've seen, AB de Villiers before the match said 180 is a good total on here. Vernon Philander was a little bit more skeptical. He went for about 160. But it did look like, when Will Jacks was at the crease, they were going ballistic in the beginning of the Pretoria Capitals innings. We've seen a couple of lovely shots here from Dewald Brevis. Yet that said, we've also had a a bunch of turn on offer from Adil Rashid, as we saw. That was an absolutely phenomenal delivery. We've just seen now one from Jimmy Neesham that also came in a little bit, also had a little bit off the seam. So, I mean, what do you make of this pitch from what from the bit you've seen so far?
I think after seeing the Pretoria Capitals and seeing the total that they got, I think there's definitely a lot there for the batters. But as we've seen, as you said, with Rashid's turn that he's getting in that one that nipped in there from Jimmy Neesham, there's definitely something for the bowlers as well. And so I think it's going to go the way of who utilizes it the best. So if the Pretoria Capitals can get their bowlers to utilize what is there for the bowlers better than MI Cape Town batsmen can, you'll see it go the way of the Capitals. So I definitely think there's something there for both teams, both batsmen and bowlers.
Yeah, perhaps a little bit more than there was almost in the first innings, where we didn't really see that much turn on offer from the likes of like a George Linder, for example. Even Rashid Khan wasn't really getting that much turn. He was just more getting a bit of a variable bounce and just kind of creeping up on people. But nonetheless, yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely something on offer for both of the two.
For sure.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about the pitch and we're going to talk about what's kind of on offer there, if you are the captain now of the Pretoria Capitals, what do you do with Adil Rashid? Do you keep him on? Because I mean we've seen that ball now that's turned like a dream, but we've also seen him getting absolutely clobbered. So what do? You give him a third over?
I think you give him another over with where MI Cape Town are at the moment. I think you can afford to give him one more over, especially with a new batsman at the crease and how much turn we saw in their previous over. I would give him another over. I think you can afford to give him another over, and if he gets tonked around the park again, you can pull him off and then reassess. But I think I would definitely give him another over.
Okay. Well, fair enough. I mean, we haven't seen just yet who looks like they are coming to the crease. There does seem to be a little bit of discussion as we approach this 10th over. Now, remember, MI Cape Town currently 70 for the loss of 2. Don't forget they're charging. By the way, yes, it will be Adil Rashid. He's going to get his second over. Target of 183, which, at one point looked low, at one point it looked high. Devil Brevis at the crease, 30 off 19. Rassie van der Dussen, we spoke about him starting slowly. And as things stand currently, 3 runs off his 6 deliveries that he's faced. In the grand scheme of things, MI Cape Town needing 113. They've got 66 balls to do it in. As we see Rashid coming to the crease for his first delivery of his second over. Let's have a look what's on offer there. A little defensive push there. How do you read it so far? Or how do you read it with what we got left? Who's your favorite? Should we put it that way? That does seem that we've lost Ross.
With Brevis at the crease.
Oh, wait, have we got Ross? What a shot that is. That is just a club of a shot. There is a man out in the deep, however, to field it long on. Oh, a bit of a mix-up. Oh, my goodness me. That should have been a run-out. We saw Adil Rashid collecting the ball. We saw Devil Brevis strolling around somewhere in between the wickets. And for some reason, it looked like Rashid dropped it. Let's have a look what happened here. He missed it.
Oh, he's missed
Absolutely. How did he miss that? That's going to be very disappointing from him. I mean, off his own bowling, not even in the picture was Devil Brevis.
And it wasn't a bad throw at all.
Ross, that could have been curtains.
That definitely could have been curtains. I think if that had happened, that would have swung the game straight back to the Pretoria Capitals.
Okay, it seems having a bit of an issue with Ross's mic. Can't hear him currently right now. But yeah, once again, that was that should have been on every day of the week. That should have been a run out there. Absolutely simple stitcher of a run out. Adil Rashid was calling for the ball. It came to him. You can't say he wasn't expecting it, and yet somehow he just sort of missed it. And I mean, just how important could that be? You have to wonder for MI Cape Town and indeed for the Pretoria Capitals. I mean, with 111 runs needed, 63 balls, they're going to need to get a move on. As we see, just a safe, simple defensive push there from Rassie van der Dussen. moving him through with another single. 62 balls. We've still got 2 balls left in this 10th over. And that was the danger, man. That was the danger. You know, by all rights, that would have been Brevis gone, and then we would have been doing a very different match report. We would have been looking at something. We've got Grant Rudolphs coming in. We know he can hit a ball very well, but I mean, you know, with this run rate steadily climbing now, you have to say that they very much would like to have Devil Brevis there if they're to kind of keep any sort of a favorite tag in this match, as we see a nice little defensive stroke around the corner. That'll just hopefully get them through for a single. Moves Brevis onto 32 off 21. Rassie van der Dussen is on 5 off 9, ahead of the last ball of what would be Adil Rashid's second over. It hasn't been a bad over. 4 off it so far from 5 deliveries. Ross, I'm not sure if we have you back. What have you made of Adil Rashid's over?
I think it's been a lot better. Can you hear me?
Look,
Can you hear?
Still not got Ross, I'm afraid. Nonetheless, end of the 10th over, 74 for the loss of 2 of things as they currently stand. I think we'll take just a short break while we try and get Ross back, and then him and I will join you for the next couple of overs before Steve returns.
Can you hear me now, Matt?
Welcome back. Apologies for that. We've got a bit of a technical issue where one of us couldn't hear the other one couldn't hear the other one. But it all does all seem to be sorted out right now. Ross, you are back with us. Am I correct?
Back. Yes, I'm back.
Great stuff. All right. Well, 10.4 overs gone, 77 for 2 as we see the beautiful sunset and the moon rising over Cape Town Table Mountain. If we have a look now, we've got Jimmy Neesham coming in. It's been a very good over for him so far. And that one has gone my way. That has almost hit the moon.
Oh, he's gone down.
He's dropped him.
MI Cape Town are living it like cats. They've got, there's overthrows.
And now an overthrow. Oh my goodness me. That's frankly quite bizarre, isn't it? Let's talk about that run-out attempt that we couldn't chat about just now.
MI Cape Town are like a cat with 9 lives at the moment between the run out earlier that really should have been gone. I mean, it wasn't a bad throw. And as you were saying, Rashid was calling to it. It came to his end and it just completely missed it off a good throw. And there really should have been a run out. And
Yeah,
that,
really
and that would have changed the game completely. I mean, it would have been just about MI Cape Town down and out, I think.
Yeah, I think that could very well have kind of spelled the end for them. But let's see here as we look at a short ball there to, in fact, it's now a wide. So not the end of the over. That one coming from Jimmy to Dylan Brevis. Again, as we said, somebody who doesn't particularly like the short ball. What have you made of him so far? 34 off 23. We know it's been a bit of a difficult tournament for him so far. He's also got very lucky once or twice so far tonight. But 34 off what, 20-odd deliveries? How's it been?
I think he's gone through patches. He's gone through patches where he's looked really, really good, such as that Rashid's first over, when those last 2 deliveries. And he's gone through patches where he's looked like he just can't get it away, where he's being cramped up. Norkia cramped him up a bit. Jimmy Neesham's cramped him up a little bit. And he's been trying to make the shots, but he just can't seem to get them away. So I think it's been a very up and down innings, which is not bad because he's keeping himself at the crease, which I think is the most important thing.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, look, I suppose he's weathered a couple of storms. I mean, it's not easy ever to weather to weather an 9 Kia storm at 150 odd k's an hour coming at your head. But I mean, I think he's made the most of it. 35 or 24 is really, it's not tragic by anyone's stretch of the imagination. I mean, he's still going along with a strike rate of 145. So
exactly,
that's not in the power play only. That's outside of the power play as well. He's done that. So you were saying?
Exactly. So he's keeping himself going at a really good strike rate, and he's getting himself further and further into the innings. So I think he's only going to start seeing that ball bigger and bigger when it gets to the point.
Well, speaking of seeing the ball bigger and bigger, one man who you have to say, surely by this point, is going to do that. All we see that is he has gone after Rashid. He's come back in, despite the pounding he took, and the first delivery just gets sent straight past him at 1,000,000 miles an hour to the boundary for 4. Would you have brought Rashid back for a third over?
See, that his second over I think justified a third over, but his third over needs to be like his second because
that is not like his second, isn't it? How's that?
No, this is really what they didn't need. Because if Brevis keeps going like this could be a very ugly over and bring MI Cape Town straight back into it.
Yeah, I mean, we see the 220th of SA20 going over there. Brevis just picked that one. He just read it, head down, 84 meters, straight into the stands. Do we have a catch there? We do.
Oh, we've got a catch.
We do have another catch. My goodness, the way this is going, Betway is going to have to give another million. Otherwise, everyone's going to be able to pay the car guard when they leave. Hells. What it's quite not a bad catch, I think. But did he have help? It looks to me like he had help.
I think he might have had a bit of help.
Yeah, that's not a clean catch, as Steve says. That's not a clean catch. I think they're going to fight with him there on that one.
And you can see
that's Matthew Pierce right next to him. That's Matthew Pierce right next to him. Fellow Supersport commentator. Matt Pierce, of all the people, looking like he almost caught that. Well, that's unreal. Great to see. Fellow Supersport presenters representing, as we see, just a very safe, solid defensive shot from Rassie van der Dussen, who now, by the way, moves to 9 of 14 deliveries. Does he have to go now?
I was going to ask you the same question. When do you think Rassie goes?
I think he has to go. He has to go now. Surely. I mean, okay, fine. It's the last ball of the over now that he's facing. But I'm certain he has to start going. Really, he does. That one you see, you just punch that away into a bit of a half gap. There is someone at long off who comes around to field it, which means it's just a single. Nonetheless, it's the last over. 12 runs from Adil Rashid. It is also the end of the 12th over. Mumbai Indians 94 for the loss of 2. People Brevis has moved up on to 46. We're interested to see if he reaches his 50, but to find out will be our colleague, Steve Pettit. Ross, we will catch you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
Right, welcome back. And we have got 89-48 is the equation. However, with two pretty set batsmen at the creases, Anurag Nokia charges in for the start of his third over. Right, Matt, what are we thinking? 12 overs to go. You know, as I always say, try and double your thing. They've got wickets in hand. If you were a betting man, if you had just taken that one-handed catch and you were given the money and then deposited that money into a Betway, are you putting on MI Cape Town or Pretoria Capitals?
As things stand.
As things stand right now, where you going?
As things stand right now, I'm going to go MI Cape Town.
Right, big call.
I'm going MI Cape Town. I think if Brevis, this looks to be maybe Brevis's kind of announcement, his arrival at the tournament.
Oh,
look there.
Well, speaking of getting stuck in, that has gone miles and miles in the air. And Rassi Benedushan has said, you know what, I'm actually bored of this whole Brevis hype and I'm being ignored. I can do this as well. As he deposits teammate Anurag Nokia into the stands. You guys, I think, we're just talking about when does he go. I think we've answered that question.
Oh, yes. No, you know, that's the one thing about Rusty. When he announces himself, he announces himself. There's no half measures here. He absolutely clobbers that straight out of the meat of the bat. And this is the kind of thing we've seen from Rusty for who knows how many years now. Bats himself in. He hit that as though he's seeing it like a beach ball. Let's see what he does again. He tries to go for it again.
Yeah, it's one of his shots, isn't it? You know, he loves that sweep, that sort of slog sweep. You know, he gets himself into the line, and if it's full, he'll pick it up beautifully. It's a nice shot there, and it's a good option, especially with Anurag here in the pace. If you do get that pickup, so 7 off the over the first two. Brevis 46 of 28, really strong innings so far. I struck it at 164. The question is, can he get to that big 5-0 mark?
Look, it'll be good for him. I think. Do you know? It's also going to be. It's very good for his international aspirations, because you know this is kind of yes, fine. He's played in the IPL and he's played in the 100, etc., etc., etc. But to do it on home soil in front of his home fans, South Africans want to see Devil Brevis succeed. There's been so many calls. I mean, you only have to go on Twitter and you'll see calls for him to. Hell, I've seen shouts for him to be the captain of the Proteas, test side even. Which, you know, obviously that's complete bullshit. But I think he needs to kind of show the home fans on the home soil here with the size of opposition that he can do it.
Yeah, I think the main thing is consistency, and that's always going to be the issue with the young players, that we know he's got talent, he'll come off, there's no doubt about it. How often can he come off? You know, can he do it regularly? Oh, and as we say that, I think he might be out, Jay. He spooned it. It's up in the air. It's taken. He's gone. We put the markers on him. Devil Brevis is gone. That's a big moment in the game. Anurag Nokia gets the breakthrough. And Devil Brevis 46 off 30. A great knock. A fighting knock. And a knock that's given his team a chance. But I think he'll be annoyed because he got himself in. And I think he'll feel that he needs to bat deeper there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I feel like he would have wanted to take that to 16 odd overs. Around there, I mean, we're at 12.4 now. I think he, as you say, yeah, you can see the disappointment on his face. He knows he just spooned that one straight up into the air.
Yeah, pretty sad catch. Jimmy Nation underneath it. He's never going to drop that.
No one's going to drop that.
And good to see it, because we have, over the course of the evening, we've not seen a particularly good standard of fielding.
No, we haven't. I don't know what it is. I mean, it doesn't look like it's particularly windy or anything out there in the Cape. I don't know, you know, if the ball's been swirling around, but I somehow doubt that.
No.
It just looked like it's just, as you say, it's just been rubbish fielding. Good to see Jimmy Neesham, though. I mean, obviously, experienced campaigner of his standards is not likely to drop what, you know, really is a sitter. despite the fact we've had some sitters dropped.
Yeah.
New man to the crease, they've decided to bring George Linde over Grant Rubosa. Good call, bad call?
No, it's the right call. He's in brilliant form. He's striking it really well. He's looked in brilliant touch as George Linde. I'm frustrated because I really rated him, and I think he's kind of dropped off the radar a little bit in the last couple of years. He looked really destined to be a mainstay in that Proteas lineup, and people talk about him as one of the most naturally gifted players on the domestic circuit with bat and ball. And I think we see with ball at the international level, we never really saw it with bat, but he can hit a long ball, he can be aggressive, and I think he's going to come out here. And I think he'll be a good foil for Russ Van der Dussen. He's got a strike of 170. That's his,
yeah. I mean, his average is 42.
Yeah, that's been his SA20 story so far. So he doesn't go slow. But that's a brilliantly directed bouncer from Nokia first up, and so I think he'll look to be aggressive. But at the end of the day, I think if George Linde comes off, MR Cape Town probably go all the way.
Yeah, I think 101 for 3. You got to say that the ball is still very much in their court. I think it remains to be seen. Now we're going to need to see a good couple of stifling overs before that pressure really starts to build up enough for it to trouble someone like a Rassie van der Dussen, who we know, he's been in this situation who knows how many times. We know that he knows that he can dig himself out of it and dig his team out of it. George Linde, again, what a lovely shot there.
That's the hand-eye coordination, that's the talent there. It's just weight, so it's banged in full, and he's just carved it. I mean, it's basically a Yorker, about in the 150, and he's carved it through the covers. Four. So that's
just gave himself a little bit of room there, and I mean, okay, there was a man at a kind of a short cover, but I mean, there was no chance in a million years of Rashid getting that. Lovely shots. I still want to say, I mean, you asked me as things stand, and that was before Devil Brevis was gone. I don't think that this changes my mind. I still think MI Cape Town are in the driver's seat.
No, I agree. I think, if these two stick around, I think 78 from 42. I think right now the game's leaning towards MI Cape Town. I think they can catch up. They've got the players to play catch up. They've got. Yeah, I mean, as I said, if George Linde stays for 10 balls the way he's going, he's striking at 170. That's 17 of 10. That's almost 30 of like sort of 17 type thing. He sticks around for 2-3 overs and he'll knock a lot of those runs off. And Rassie van der Dussen, we've seen a bit of a release shot from him. Where he picked up. And you start to do that. That brings you a lot of confidence. And again, I think Rassie van der Dussen is the right type of player you want in a chase. As he is on, he's on strike and misses it there. As I just looks at the pitch there. I think he's a bit. I think right now, I do think things right now. I would back in my Cape Town. Obviously, there's still quite a large required run rate, but they have been picking it up. The required run rate's sitting at 11, which has actually gone up, but the required run rate's 8. And if you sit there with 2 runs behind the required run rate with about 4 overs to go, it's very easy to catch that up.
Yeah, no, sure. I think they will. I think, well, at least that's what they'll be thinking. As we see a flash at it from Rassie van der Dussen. Unfortunately, there is a man, or at least unfortunately for him, there is a man in the deep, which means that it doesn't only go through for a single. But a good shot and also a sign of intent from Rassie, showing that he's clearly not here to mess around. He knows that they need to just kind of have that 1 or 2 big overs. I mean, you look at it, they need 77 or 40. You have a couple of overs, you have a 20 and a 15. And suddenly, you're down to needing almost, a little over a run of ball.
Yeah.
So it is. We're looking for that 1 big over. And I mean, as you say, of these 2 batters at the crease, both of them are totally and utterly capable of providing that. So it'll be interesting to see just how Pretoria approach it from the ball in hand. Do they go for an attacking kind of a field setting, or do they try and play the stifling game?
I think you've got to try and I think you've got to be. See, it's difficult because the problem is they do bat deep. So I think that you do need to try and probably stifle them a little bit. I think try and really bring that run rate down. That ball goes up, but as I said, all the men on the leg side are out. So I think they are trying and prevent the boundaries, bring that run rate up. I think if you get that run rate up to 13, 14, even 12, it creates chances, when they have to start being aggressive. At the moment, they're in that middle stage where they've got to be aggressive but not overly aggressive. They don't necessarily need to clear the boundary, they've just got to find the boundary. You start getting into that situation where you've got to start clearing the boundary often. Yeah, I think, you start to create chances. And then all of a sudden, you've got new batsmen coming in who haven't seen a ball having to go at 12, at a strike of 200. So, a good piece of fielding there from Riley. So I think that's got to be the sort of the play now. Try and, not concede boundaries, get that required run rate as high as possible. Then when you do get that breakthrough, which the pressure can bring, make sure that the players walking in are under pressure immediately.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's an underrated kind of a tactic in 20 over cricket. Often it's all out attack, and well, that's great for the fans to see. I think there is, as we see, a punch there to the cover region just for another single to end the over. That is ending the 14th over. Is it, or is it not? Still one ball to come. My stream's a little bit.
Yeah, still ball to go. 74-37, and a boundary of this, for example, makes it a very good over. 74 or 36. 70 or 36. You're basically going, well, that's in and around just under the 12 mark. 74 or 36 is above the 12 mark. So mentally, as he carves it out, and once again, Riley started doing some good work in that cover region. Just a single to end the over. That's brilliant over from Ethan Bosch. That's 5 from it, I think it is. And pressure right back at MI Cape Town. That's the important thing. You have that one over like that, and if you can string it, they're not going to go to strategy break. If you string those 2 overs together, where if this next over goes for 5, for example, that required rate only gets up to 13, and that's when I think you can really apply the squeeze. At the end of the day, Rashford and Jordan are going to have to go because they're either going to have to go or they're going to have to go all the way. If they don't go, you cannot give the lower order who hasn't seen a ball 40 or 3, 40 or 2, type thing. You've got to try and get through the bulk of the runs and give your middle to lower order as little as possible.
Yeah, just to let them go wild and just run with it 100%. I agree with you.
So if you look at this game, and it's kind of swung from one way to another, which has been really entertaining. Any sort of surprise performances maybe from you over the course of the game?
Yeah, well, if we have a look at this, we look at the opening. I mean, Tennis de Brain was quite good for me, I must say. I mean, Will Jackson, obviously he was a great knock. 62 off 27, 5 4s, 5 6s, a striker just under 230. Of course, that was outstanding, but you can't really say a surprise when the man's been doing this for a large section of the tournament.
Yeah.
I think Tennis de Brain had a nice knock. I liked his 36 off 26. Couple of 4s, couple of 6s in it. He looked good. He looked quite solid at the crease, which was nice to see. Nice to see from a Proteas perspective. Nice to see just also, from a Pretoria Capitals perspective. I think they have kind of had this over-reliance on the likes of a Will Jacks, especially because Riley Rousseau hasn't been performing. So it's nice to see Tennis Brain be in and amongst the runs. Jimmy Neesham, as we know, kind of this good knock as sort of as ever from him. Jafar Archer was pretty good, I thought, but Rashid Khan,
yeah,
he really was. I mean, I can't say it was a surprise because he has been so phenomenal for just so long now, no matter whose jersey he's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, you look at those figures. He went for 16 runs, picked up 3 wickets, an economy of 4. And that's against a batting lineup that includes a Will Jackson, a Kusal Mendes, and a Riley Rousseau, and a Tennis de Brain, and Jimmy Neesham. These are all, if not accomplished batters, they're accomplished hitters of the ball. So I think he's really been very, very good. Also, a bit of a shout out to Odin Smith. I mean, his 2 for 27 or 4 definitely helped kind of in those middle overs, especially sort of bring down that total. Where I mean, as you and I were watching, after the departure of Will Jacks, there was that slowing down period. And I think Odin Smith had a reasonable role to play with that. Otherwise, I mean, good to see Devil Brevis, right? Good to see him getting in among the runs. He certainly, we know the talent's there, and I think he'll be disappointed not to have got his 50. But nonetheless, I mean, I think he shouldn't be too disappointed. I think he needs to take some heart from the fact that there's a big target to chase, and he went along very well. I mean, he still struck it at over 150. So yeah, I think those have pretty much been your big standout performers so far.
Yeah, 100%. And interesting to see. I mean, obviously, you he's had the strap break. Hashim Amla walking out there to MIK. And what do you think his message might have been? Do you think his message is right, boys? He's got to go, or is it take this deep, take this to the last 3 overs, and see if we can come and we can come off?
Look, I think knowing Hash, he's probably sitting there saying, "All right, you two guys, you can." I think I'd say maybe give it another go, but don't go too much. Don't go too crazy over the next couple of overs. When you get to maybe the 16th over, if you've got these two guys still at the crease, I think then you're in with a good shout. I really do. I think you're in a good shout then. As we see, Will Jacks coming to the crease, not with the bat in hand, but
this
with
is
the
a
ball in
very
hand.
interesting decision. Not a recognised bowler necessarily. Hasn't not somebody going to bowl a lot of overs. I think this is an interesting ploy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's taken 2 wickets so far this tournament. So we've seen this as a tournament of Aiden Markram as well. The first ball comes in.
It's a pretty poor ball. And that's going to go for. I think it should go all the way. And Onokia is bringing it in.
That's right. Nokia with those long legs of his. Stretching out another S. They do run for, it looks like 2 years.
Yeah,
And it was a wide.
It's a 3 wide start the over. Not the good start that they would have liked. And all of a sudden, we talked about 70 or 36. It's exactly they've ended up after no balls in this first over.
Yeah. Look, but I mean, it's a bit of a brave call, I'd say, to bowl him. But that said, I mean, this has been a tournament for the part-timers as well, in a way. I mean, you look at an Aiden Markram, he's bowled phenomenally.
But for me, you've got Cinnamon Mutasami in the side, who is a left-arm batting all-rounder, but a genuine all-rounder. Surprised not to have seen him have a go.
No, sure. I mean, I'm not saying that it was the right decision. I mean, I'm just saying, there is a call for the part-timer every now and then when you need them. This case, as you say, they don't need it. They absolutely don't need it. There is no logical reason for me for bringing him in. I mean, you got. Well, hang on, did James Neesham bowl the last over? I don't think he did he?
I think Ethan Bosch bowled the last.
Yeah, Ethan Bosch did. Yeah. So I mean, you still got Jimmy Neesham. He's still got two overs left to play. Why not have another over for Jimmy Neesham? If he goes for 4-5 runs on that over, suddenly now you're starting to build that scoreboard pressure, that run rate pressure. Then if you need to bowl in Mutasami, do that. Then, as we see that one pulled, well, it's kind of swept almost down to deep square leg for just a single.
Yeah, it's an interesting play. As I said, I'm interested to see is the thinking here that he could try and find a wicket, or do you think the thinking is just to try and dart a couple of them and try not get a boundary? Look, they've done pretty well to find quite a few runs here without having to find boundary. We've seen 2 2s, we saw 3 wides off it, so it's already been a pretty industrious over. With still 4 deliveries remaining. But yeah, I think maybe that was probably the play to just try and sort of limit the boundaries potentially. And to be honest, if I'm Linda, I'm doing that.
Well, that's not limited the boundary, has he?
It's going to go short though. I think it's the right way you have to do it. Yes. I think that's exactly what would have liked Will Jackson. The part-timer can always do a job, and he's done a job. I think that's a big moment in the game.
Yeah, no, that could be a moment with plenty to talk about coming the end of this. So now who's coming in? You've got Grant Wilson, Delano Potgieter, Odin Smith, Rashid Khan, obviously then Jofra Archer and KG.
No, you're sending in Grant Wilson.
Absolutely.
And you're saying, listen, kid, you're on form. We sent George Linda to be aggressive. Didn't really come off. Go and take us home. Go and show us that you can also, play. And I think Grant Wilson, you'd be saying, no, send me in. You would be sitting there saying, you might not think of me as the big hitter, but back me. I can get you guys there. I'm happy to put my hand up. And it is Wilson, so it's the right decision.
Yep, I agree, 100%. Rusty, they're still going on for a run and ball, 23 not out for him. So what's he thinking now? Does he continue to go now? I mean, as we've said, they did bat reasonably deeply. So does he hold up his end and say, okay, well, we know Odin Smith and these guys can really smash a ball? Or does Rusty say, well, I've faced 23 balls, so I'm in now?
And more importantly, he's only scored 23 runs. You talk about a match-losing innings. 23 of 23 when you're chasing 180 with a required run rate of 12 is very much a match-losing innings unless you now catch up. You've got to catch up. He has to take responsibility. He has to catch up. He has to go big now. He cannot. You now need more than 2. You're basically 2 a ball. You cannot shy away from it. You've got to take responsibility. You've got to say, right, I gave myself my 23 balls to get myself in. I've got to exploit that. I've got to now bring that strike rate from what is 100 on the dot to 140.
Yeah, I think that there's always the riskiness of a Rusty Fanderson in 20 overs is that we know he plays himself in. And it's as you said a while ago, if he goes and he gets himself out now, well, that's a match-losing innings.
Yeah.
But I think, okay, he's got Rudolphs at the crease, but he's also got that comfort of knowing that they bat pretty deeply. So he can afford to go. Because I don't think he'll be looking at it and saying, we bat deeply, therefore, if I go out now, it's fine. You know what I mean? I think he'll be looking at it and going, we bat deeply, therefore, it gives me room to go. As we see him now get onto one knee, sweep it down to deep square leg for a single.
I think he has to sit there saying, I'm the senior batsman. It's 5 overs to go. I have to take us home. If I get out, it doesn't matter if he goes and blasts 3 sixes in a row and then gets out for the type of thing. He's got to take them all the way. He's got to sit there thinking, I get them over the line here. Because I've given myself the chance to do it, therefore I have to do it type thing.
Yeah, no, sure, that's it. I mean, he has to. No, I mean, look, the man's a leader in the squad. Make no mistake, he's so experienced. I mean, who knows how many deliveries he's faced on these pitches in South Africa. He certainly, as you say, he will be seeing it that way. He will be seeing it as, right, the responsibility is now on my shoulders here. And fair enough, as it should be. I mean, John, unfortunately, you're not going to be asking Rashid Khan and Odin Smith and Kagiso Rabada to be taking you home when you still need like a monumental 64 or 30. That's you need 1 over 12 now.
No, 100%. You've got to really, and that innings is, as I said, right now it's not good enough. And to be honest, yeah, this is the thing. You're putting yourself in a very awkward position because you're putting yourself in a position where this is what people are waiting for. People are waiting for you to fail at this stage. People are waiting for you to get you to be laboured, and this is why people don't rate him as a white ball player, as a T20 player, because he has his innings and then he can go out. So he's now got to really, and that's missed everything, and it's going to run over 4, I think. No, will be well reined in.
No.
Should be able to get back for a second though. So it's 2 to start the Stu with the leg by is the call. Not a bad start there. Yeah, no, he has to go because you can't in the T20 game you cannot play like this regularly because unfortunately you can get stuck.
So do you rate him as a white ball player?
Or he's our best ODI player by a country mile.
Okay.
That I think is very, very simple. Because at 23 of 23, at 50 of 50, and then he's got the ability to be 100 of 75 very quickly. So he's our best ODI player by a country mile. I think that's not.
That's not in question. No,
I wouldn't question that at all. As a T20 player, I think he frustrates me. I think he's got the shots, and I think it'd be nice if he backed himself more. But I think he's got the ability to strike higher from earlier. I don't think he needs 20 balls. I think he can. And Grant Wilson said, "Well, look at me. You guys didn't back this pitcher. Can I get all the way?" He can't get all the way, and that's another big wicket now. Adil Rashid gets the breakthrough, and
that's it.
Again, you almost sit there thinking, if Rassie van der Dussen is sitting there on 35 of 24, 40 of 24, you take 26 runs off this total, and you are looking at, 30. What? You're looking at less than 30 now. Or less than 40. You're looking at 36 of 30. Grant Willison's not playing that shot. And that's the problem with the Rassie van der Dussen innings like that, is that he puts pressure on the other player. And it's frustrating. I can get taking 10 balls, but to be 24 of 24, and I'm a big Rassie van der Dussen fan. I really like him. Watched him a lot growing up as a Lions fan. But this is the problem: is that you let the game get to a required run rate of 12.85. If he was going at 130, 140, and as I said, he's sitting on maybe 40 or 20, 24, 25 balls or whatever.
The hard reality is he hasn't gone enough yet. I mean, that 24 should read all 14. And as you say, so rightly, it causes Grant Wilson to play a shot like that when he's only faced 3 deliveries or however many deliveries he's faced. It's that knock-on effect, and I mean, Odin Smith's another one. At 5 matches in the SA20 so long, he's done all right, but he hasn't. He's not a batter first and foremost. Is the truth of the matter. So he's just as likely to now play the Grant Wilson shot, and it's tricky because also you go, how do you drop a man who's scoring runs? How do you drop Rassie van der Dussen?
Well, I think you have to tell him. You have to sit there saying, "Listen, we understand this is the way you play the game, but we're going to need you to try and adjust a bit quickly." And look, the thing is with Rassie van der Dussen, that's going to be a while, so there'll be a little bit of a bonus run. Is that he can still he can prove us wrong very easily right now. You know, he's there, but
Yeah.
he now has to take them home. And if they don't get home, you'll turn around, you'll look, and you'll say, "You lost us that game." Deval Brevis gave us the chance, but you really lost us that game because you batted us into a hole, fortunately. Which
That's a problem.
and it's tough, but you have to be, you know, you look at the Sound Current 22 of 18 in the power play, not a bad innings, but 24 of 24, and see Only Smith bringing out the
Bring out
the heave.
the wild one,
Yeah. No, Rusty's got to go. He's in this next over. If I'm telling you, I mean, I'll refuse a single of this, and then this next over, I'll be targeting and saying, right, you know, we need 59 runs off 24 balls. After this over, we're going to need 42 runs. You know, you got
there we go.
and now he has to really come to the party because he tries to go big now and he goes out. He's lost us the game, unfortunately. And to go take us through the rest of the game, Matt, I'm going to let you go. Go and enjoy your evening and go have a beer or two, I'm sure. And then let's see if Rusty Fernandez can do it. But to see if we can, it'll be myself and Ross, and we'll be back in a bit. Right, welcome back. And we're going to the last 4 overs, and the captain Wayne Parnell is bringing him back. Now, Roscoe, we've just been talking about how this is a potentially match-losing innings from Rusty Fernandez unless he goes big here. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I do. And we spoke about it earlier, and we said he needs to go.
Oh, well, there we
Matt and I
go.
were speaking about it earlier.
And he's gone. We said we need to go from and that is now probably costing the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now, yeah, we spoke about it 3, 4, 5 overs ago, saying that he needed to go, and he never went. And now he's occupied the crease for much longer than he needed to, and hasn't done much. And as you said, that's quite possibly a match-losing innings.
And what do you think he changes now? I mean, as a T20 player, you know, he's had success. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you look at his numbers; they're not bad numbers, and it's come off. Sometimes more often than not. I mean, you look at his T20 international career, for example, and he strikes at 128, which is not dreadful, an average of 36, which is pretty decent. But it's innings like this, isn't it, which always makes you worry when you're picking him, because you sit there saying, well, what if he gets, you know, what if he has these sort of innings where he can lose you a game? Because the problem is he can also win you a game. So it's a bit of a weird situation to be in, isn't it?
It is a weird situation to be in, but if he has too many of these, when it comes to selection in the future, they are going to have to think about it. And he could be the cause of his own downfall in T20 cricket. He might lose his spot based on this fact. And it's not something that you want to have.
Yeah, I mean,
especially.
Yeah, sorry.
Especially being such a good white ball player. I mean, yeah, ODI is a longer format, but it's a very similar when it comes to getting going and scoring runs quickly. It's not too dissimilar from T20 cricket.
Well, I think the biggest frustration, I think, for Rusty Fernandez as a player is he's got the capacity to clear the boundary. He's not like it's a nuggety play. It's not like he can't do it. And he does it in both formats. You know, he plays catch-up. So he's got the ability to find the boundary. That's not an issue. It's not like it's a technical flaw where he can't find the boundary. It's his approach.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
Exactly. And it's like you were saying earlier, he needs to back himself more to do that job, because he's a very capable player of doing it.
Wayne Parnell now to Rishi Khan, the captain, and he just gets to a strike. My captain needing 58 of 22. They're 6 down. Actually, Khan, Odin Smith. It'll need a bit of a miracle to get home here. And yeah, this is the problem, is that all of a sudden you've got a required run rate of 15. You've got 2 new batsmen in the crease. You know, yeah, Odin Smith strikes at 150, but he doesn't strike. He doesn't do that for very long, unfortunately. It's usually the case. And Yeah, so and Rashid Khan again, you know, he can hit a ball, but 59 runs is a lot of runs for the tail, really, the bottom order to get.
And it's like you said earlier, they bat deep, but I think this is a big ask of the bottom order. I mean, if you had Rashid Khan and Odin Smith walking in needing 26, 27 odd around there, of 12, 13 deliveries, it's doable, but this is a big ask, I think.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's not about coming off for 1 over; it's about coming off for 3.5 overs now.
Yeah, and they've all got to be big.
Yeah. So Rashid Khan on strike here to Wayne Parnell. He's got the important breakthrough of Rashford and Dustin. And Rashid Khan rocks back, and it'll be just a single. Yeah, this is the thing. You know, you're going to struggle to see. You can see the frustration there. He knows it is. He has to find the boundary. It's frustrating because I think they were in the game, and you think then that a knock like Diego previously, it was a great knock, and it's almost sort of been a bit of a waste now because unfortunately they got not ahead of the game, but they stayed with the game and then got behind the game very quickly.
Yeah, it's what we said. They stayed in touch enough with the run rate to where it was still very much a possibility, and now that's pretty much gone, I would think.
Yeah, and this has been a bit of a death-bowling masterclass here from Wayne Parnell. He's finding the Yorker there. He's gone for nothing this over. He's picked up the wicket of Rashford and Dustin, and he's completely swung the game. I think the game was pretty much already swung towards the Pretoria Capitals, but there was always a chance for Emma Cape Town with Rashford and Dustin there. And this over from Parnell just take it away from there, I think.
Yeah, I think this has smashed all of MI Cape Town's hopes in this game.
Oh, and he's just bowled him. He's fired in the Yorker. He's fired in the Yorker.
Little Marcus Rashford celebration.
It's everywhere. And why not? And that's the ball game, really. 127 for 7. They're going to need 56 in the final 3. And you're really relying on bowlers now to do it. You know, you've got Delana Porkito will come onto the crease, I'm sure, now. After that, you've got Jafar Archer, Kisa Rabada. There's not much left. It's too much. But more to the point, the Pretoria Capitals continue to just really set the standards in this tournament.
Yeah, and that was an unbelievable delivery by Wayne Parnell.
Yeah, fires in the Yorker, bottom pressure to the bottom of off stump, going across Odin Smith's body. But Delana Porkito comes in, and you almost sort of feel sorry for. But I'm a bit confused because Delana Porkito didn't bowl, if I'm not mistaken. No, he didn't. So you got to wonder, you know, what he's doing in the side. You know, he's a batsman. He's a middle order batsman. Really, he does bowl a bit. We bowled quite a lot actually, really. But you've got to wonder. You've got a man who strikes at 126. Why he's not? I mean, the SA20 so far, he hasn't scored a lot of runs, but he scored them quite quickly. Strike at 160. But he didn't bowl, and he's now walking in at 9.
Yeah, you sort of wonder. Surely they've got somebody else in there that they can put in that's going to do more.
Yeah, I mean, and why wouldn't you back him as a batsman? I mean, this is the thing, you know. You've got Cameron Delport, for example, who's a destructive top order batsman. Sorry, not Cameron Delport. I'm talking. You got like Wesley Marshall, for example, who's there, and you go back to 7 kills, who's a leggy. I look at I wonder about MIK on the fact that Liam Livingston's not playing, how much that has affected their balance, because they just don't. Let's put to position. He didn't bowl, and now he's batting right at the back. And Rashid Khan goes over the top. That could be back-to-back wickets, you know. Yeah, but it is. And it is. Milkia with the breakthrough. MI Cape Town collapsing here and collapsing badly. And you have to go for it, but it's, yeah, not much to say, is there?
And it's like you said, feel sorry for the guys coming into bat now because they've been given an impossible task. This is not their job. But the likes of Rassie have left it to them to do. And it's just going to be a sad end, I think. I reckon Pretoria Capitals will topple them quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, this could actually turn to be pretty big, a heavy hammering. I mean, they need 56 or 17. There's 2 wickets in hand, and Jofra and Kisa Rabada, and I'm pretty sure because Kisa Rabada will bat. We're going to have to go one way. So this could actually be quite a big, heavy loss for MI Cape Town. And back to the drawing board really for them. I mean, everybody spoke about them and said it's hard not to look past the side as the team for the tournament. And yet, if they were to lose this game, they would have played 7, won 3, lost 4, sitting on 13 points. Joburg Super Kings could actually overtake them tomorrow, who've had a horrendous start to the tournament. Paul Rurals could also overtake them, will have a game in hand. But it's MI Cape Town side, for all that they are stacked with quality, keep coming short.
Yeah, and it's a bit disappointing because, I mean, if you looked at their team at the beginning of the season, you would have expected them to do a lot more and really been up at the top of the table battling it out, but they're not.
Yeah, no, and Pretoria Capital, I don't think too many people, I think people expect them to be decent, but definitely weren't one of the favourites. Could very well be looking at 5 wins from 7 games and a very big lead on the top of the table. As Nokia goes to Dr. Archer, who slaps him over the top. It will be railed in by Wayne Parnell, so it'll just be the single, which will bring Delano Porquito onto strike. But it's interesting how Pretoria Capitals, even with the struggling Riley Rousseau, are getting the job done.
Yeah, they found form in their other players, and their bowlers have done a really good job as well to help them out. But I mean, you look at what the Pretoria Capitals have done, and they haven't put up low totals. Their batting, as you said, even with a struggling Riley Rousseau, has done a lot of work.
Yeah, and I mean, since the Braves, I think, it's come to the party. Will Jacks, we saw Phil Salt play really good innings, and now he can't even get into the side because Kusal Mendes is back, so it was a nice player to be able to bring in. So I mean, they're leaving out Cameron Delport, who I think is a pretty proven quality player. But interesting here, bonus point win. Capitals must restrict Cape Town to 145 or less. So now you've got that weird sort of, do we defend the runs? Do we look for the wickets? You know, what is the plan out here? Because a bonus point win for Pretoria Capitals would send them to 23 points. And yeah, I mean, there would be 6 points ahead of the next best side. So I mean, they're basically looking at 1 win away from a semi-final berth, and the semi-finals finals don't matter in terms of your home and away advantage. They've already been set, so you could be 1 match away from ensuring that, and then you could just rotate a bit. You could do whatever you want, really. Dr. Archer slaps it, and he's gone.
And there we go.
Right.
So they go for the bonus point.
Yeah, and I mean, I think MI Cape Town are about to deliver on a silver platter because they have to at the end of the day. They have to go for it. And KG Bar is not going to come out here and see out 2.2. I mean, why would you? You're going to sit there now, you have to go face a hostile Nokia. You're not going to sit there and try and see it out for the sake of, and try and edge it and try and deny Victoria Capitals a bonus point.
No, I don't think so. I think you're going to see this game wrapped up shortly.
Yeah, and just all capitulated, unfortunately, MI Cape Town. A lesson, I think, in terms of... And interesting that, you talk about winning the toss. They won the toss. They went inside the field first. They said that chasing was going to be better. And Pretoria Capitals then put in a bit of a batting masterclass. And then a bowling masterclass. And under lights, I don't think it's been as easy as they hoped. But, yeah, I think a couple of positives. Brevis looking good once again. I think they'll be a bit frustrated that Rickleton didn't manage to get off. Grant Wilson coming in quite late, I think, might have been it's a difficult one because I'd really like to see Grant Wilson and get more time in the middle. I think he's earned. I would have been putting him at 3, to be honest. I think he's earned the right to bat a bit higher. But also, and how big mentally is this going into the break on the back of a heavy loss?
I think it will play a big effect, but I think they'll also be grateful to be going into a break. They've got a little bit of time to reset and re-look at a couple of things and try and come out back from the break in a different light and a different spirit.
I mean, can I just talk about the fact that Aaron Look here has just bounced? We're about it first. Mate, we're playing England on Friday. Like, could you not?
And then what do you think? We saw Sam Curran come in at 3 and he didn't have a bad knock. Nothing insane, but not a bad knock at all. But do you think if they had sent Rulifson in at 3, and save Curran maybe for towards the back end for in case something like this happened. If you had a Sam Curran coming in at 6 or 7, do you think this could have had a different outcome?
Yeah, as I said, I think Grant Wilson needs to be back. I think he's proven this tournament that he's a really top class batsman. I think if you give him the time, I think he strikes at a decent strike rate as well. He's not a slow batsman by any means. So I would like to have seen them back him a bit more. You know, he's got. I mean, his strike rate in T20 cricket is 127. His numbers this tournament have been pretty good, and I'd like to have seen them. Yeah, just back him a little bit more and say, you know, go out and get us going. I think we all knew that this was going to take us time, but I think Grant Wilson I think they did a bit of a disservice sending him so late. Oh, and there it is, and Wayne Parnell goes straight through a bar at the gate. Game, set, and match, as they do say.
Match.
Pretoria Capitals hammered them in the end. They will win by a bonus point margin. Of 53 runs. And I think for me, the main thing is that Roberto's got through that, doesn't have to face any more bounce or anything, and he's fine. Final thoughts, Roscoe, before we sort of wrap up. What went wrong? What went right? What do both teams... Well, Emma Cape Town, more... Pretoria Capitals, I don't think you have to change anything.
No, I think Pretoria Capitals are quite set. They've got their lineup. Most of their players are performing at a top level. I think Mumbai Indians need to step away, and it's I said it to you yesterday. It's very interesting that we've got this ODI break in the middle of a T20 tournament because you're going to have all of the South Africans and all of the English guys going off now to their separate camps, and so Mumbai Indians need the break, but they're now going to be apart for however long. So what sort of effect is that going to have on them as well, which will be quite interesting to see.
100%. Anyway, people, thank you very much for joining us for another watch along here on Forever Sports. We'll be back tomorrow, same team, same time, same place. So we'll see you guys then before the break for the England series. Roscoe, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and to everybody else,